What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. Uchiha Madara from MHA 1 Chapter 001. I am Uchiha Madara. Advertisement, ding, successfully bound to host, system testing. Ding, the system detection is completed, implanted in the character. Ding, the character implantation is successful. Welcome to the world of My Hero Academia, close black lens bracket. The moment Wei Heng opened his eyes, everything changed. In front of him was no longer the familiar black desk, nor the slightly yellow desktop computer, nor the Pikachu drinking glass that had been used for many years and had a corner missing. At this moment, what appeared in front of Wei Heng was a busy street and rows of unfamiliar high-rise buildings written in Japanese. People come and go around, each busy, starting a new day of life. Here. What is this place? Wei Heng looked around blankly and murmured subconsciously. Ding, this is the world of My Hero Academia, close black lens bracket. As soon as the voice fell, an unfamiliar electronic sound echoed in Wei Heng's mind. Wei Heng's pupils contracted slightly, and his breathing was a little short due to excitement. Don't tell me, you are the one on the computer? Just 5 minutes ago, when Wei Heng was playing a game, a black chat box suddenly popped up on the screen, with a dozen large red characters written on it. Want to understand the meaning of life? Want to really, live? And the corresponding option, there is only one, that is, yes. Wei Heng, who thought it was a prank, took a casual glance in order not to waste time, and clicked, yes without hesitation. Immediately, Wei Heng felt darkness in front of him, and a strange electronic sound echoed in his ears. Then, there was this strange scene in front of him. Various requests, open black lens bracket yes, close black lens bracket advertisement. 12 fuller bust bloggers you need in your feed her beauty. Ha. The corners of Wei Heng's mouth kept twitching. He pinched his cheeks hard to confirm that he was not dreaming. His face was black and his voice trembled. My Hero Academia? Open black lens bracket yes. Close black lens bracket. I'm not dreaming, right? Wei Heng couldn't help but ask even though he knew he wasn't dreaming. Based on the current situation, host is not dreaming, close black lens bracket. Are you ill? Why did you pull me in? Wei Heng patted his chest vigorously. As an ordinary person, he suddenly came to a world full of superpowers, and anyone would feel nervous and uncomfortable. There was even an urge to hit him to death in his heart. Host clicked, yes. Close black lens bracket. Damn, you only have one option. What if I don't say yes? Because Wei Heng was on the street, people were coming and going, and his voice was a bit loud, so at this moment, many people's eyes were focused on Wei Heng. Feeling the gazes of the people around him, Wei Heng felt a little uncomfortable, looked around, and finally came to a relatively remote place and sat down on a bench. Wei Heng raised his head high and watched the white clouds drifting by in the sky. Alas, when I traveled to this world, I can only admit that I was unlucky. After a long silence, everything turned into a long sigh. I said, you should let me have some means of protecting myself, right? Wei Heng straightened up, put his right hand on his cheek, remembered the novels he had read before, and asked, are there any big gift bags or something? Open black lens bracket no close black lens bracket. Hey, are you planning to send me to death? Wei Heng said, when a transparent panel suddenly appeared in front of him. Open black lens bracket name. Wei Heng implanted character, Uchiha Madara. What do you mean? Looking at the 4 dazzling big characters, Uchiha Madara, Wei Heng was stunned and asked. The host is currently implanted with the character, Uchiha Madara, and everything has been prepared for the host. Close black lens bracket. Uchiha Madara? The one inside the Hokage ninja? Open black lens bracket yes. Close black lens bracket, then shouldn't I go to the Hokage ninja world? Wei Heng blinked, still feeling that it was a dream. Advertisement open black lens bracket, close black lens bracket. You are talking. Due to unknown reasons, the coordinate position of the host is deviated when the host passes through, and the host will stay in this world until the system automatically repairs it. Close black lens bracket. Then what should I do? Wei Heng got a little anxious, and stood up from his seat at once. I belong to the black family here. Where do you want me to live? Open black lens bracket host, please rest assured, all the systems have been prepared for you. Close black lens bracket. Including identity or something. Open black lens bracket yes. Close black lens bracket. As soon as the system's voice fell, a stream of unfamiliar and familiar information suddenly flooded into Wei Heng's mind. Everything is instantly clear. The system is about to enter into self-repair. I wish the host a happy trip. Close black lens bracket. Various requests. 20 minutes later, according to the memory in his mind, Wei Heng came to a luxurious villa and stood still, his eyes twitching. He kept squeezing his arm to make sure he wasn't dreaming. The identity the system prepared for him was an orphan with a large inheritance and both parents died, and Wei Heng's name in this world was called Uchiha Madara, and the quirks he owned was hypnosis. Taking a deep breath, Wei Heng slowly pushed open the door of the villa and came to the living room. The villa has a total of 3 floors, plus the basement has a total of 4 floors. Everything is extremely luxurious, and it is no exaggeration to describe it with splendor. Where is the villa? The palace is about the same. Wei Heng couldn't help sighing, but thinking of Yaoyorozu Wanya's villa, this place is like a pediatrician. At this moment, the sun is setting, and there are fresh vegetables and meat in the refrigerator, but you can cook and eat by yourself. Let's take a shower first. While speaking, Wei Heng had completely taken off his shirt. When he found the bathroom and walked to the mirror, his pupils shrank suddenly. This black shoulder-length explosive head, dark pupils and sharp eyes, who is not Uchiha Madara? It's just like, how small is it? Advertisement. Chapter 002. Yaoyorozu Momo advertisement. Even looks like Uchiha Madara. In the bathroom, the shirtless Wei Heng had a well-proportioned figure and his 8-pack abs were particularly conspicuous, but the greenness on his face had not completely faded away. This is basically the Uchiha Madara in his youth. Wei Heng blinked, almost subconsciously, the originally dark pupils turned scarlet in an instant, and 3 black hooked jades were slowly turning. Everything around him suddenly became incomparably clear, even a small piece of dust, Wei Heng could see clearly. This is Sharingan. To be honest, Wei Heng still doesn't believe that he has become a character in an anime, and he is still the famous Uchiha Madara in Hokage. Wei Heng learned from the memory given by the previous system that he inherited all the power of Uchiha Madara in his heyday. There's even Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, Wood Style, Rinnegan, and 6 Paths modes. Wei Heng, who got this news, suddenly relaxed a lot. In this world with so many superpowers, he can be considered to have the ability to protect himself. But how can this be considered self-defense? Wei Heng covered his right eye, revealing only the 3 black guyu in his left eye, and the corners of his mouth were slightly raised. This is simply invincible. Various requests, ding-dong. Early the next morning, the doorbell of Wei Heng's house was rang, and the sound was so loud that it almost rang through the entire villa. Who is it? Wei Heng sat up from the bed at once, with a sleepy appearance. After about 5 minutes, he got out of bed reluctantly and glanced at the clock hanging on the wall. 7 in the morning. I don't know anyone here, and it's so early. Who would come to me? Wei Heng scratched his hair, and without even wearing a shirt, he went straight downstairs and opened the door. Advertisement. The target is a girl with long black hair and a pretty face. Her physique is close to that of Europeans and Americans, and her good figure is not inferior to that of adults. Especially that proud chest. Hello, I'm... When the girl saw the door open, she wanted to introduce herself, but when she saw that the other party wasn't wearing clothes, her face turned red all of a sudden. Ah! The girl took a deep breath, and finally couldn't help crying out, blushing like an apple. Stop screaming. The loud noise made Wei Heng wake up instantly, and he hurriedly covered the girl's small mouth. It's like I did something terrible to you. Hearing this, the girl took a few deep breaths and her mood finally calmed down. She lowered her head and dared not look directly into Wei Heng's eyes. Then, can you put on your clothes first? Ah! Hearing the girl's words, Wei Heng slowly lowered his head, only to realize that he was wearing only one pair of underpants. In this state, Wei Heng was completely awake, and he scratched his black hair a little embarrassedly. I'm sorry, things happened a bit suddenly today. Why don't I go and put on my clothes first? After Wei Heng finished speaking, without waiting for the girl to reply, he hurriedly closed the door, and after he finished dressing quickly, he opened the door again. Come in first. Wei Heng turned sideways and gave the girl away. I'll go and pour you a cup of tea. If that's the case, then it's better to be respectful than to obey. The reddishness on the girl's cheeks had not completely faded away. She nodded slightly, and walked straight into the door. By the way, isn't she Yaoyorozu Momo? Why is she here? At the gate, Wei Heng looked at the girl's back and muttered to himself. Various requests. Hello. My name is Yaoyorozu Momo. Sitting on the sofa, Yaoyorozu Momo has calmed down. She stretched out a hand to Wei Heng. First time meeting, please advise. Hello, my name is Wei. Ahem, my name is Uchiha Madara. Wei Heng held Yaoyorozu Momo's small hand and glanced at her proud chest involuntarily. This dress is really revealing. Advertisement exactly the same as in the anime. After just a glance, Wei Heng returned to normal, and Yaoyorozu Momo didn't notice it. My family lives across the street. In addition, I'm sorry about your parents. I hope you don't feel too sad. Yaoyorozu Momo smiled lightly. From her eyes, Wei Heng could see a feeling called sorry. Ah! Hearing Yaoyorozu Momo's words, Wei Heng was stunned, but he did not speak, but waited for the other party to finish his words. By the way, this is what my parents asked me to bring to you. Please accept it. Yaoyorozu Momo said, taking out a dozen large pockets from somewhere and putting them on the huge coffee table. Your parents? Wei Heng really felt inexplicable. Yaoyorozu Momo came to his house so well, why did he bring so many things? Propose a kiss? This is it. Your parents and my parents are business partners, don't you know? Yaoyorozu Momo's IQ is not unreasonable. Although Wei Heng didn't say it clearly, she was keenly aware of the other party's doubts. It turns out that it is. Wei Heng was relieved in an instant. This was probably the system's ghost. He put the brewed black tea on the coffee table. I have accepted your parents' wishes. Thank you for my uncle and aunt. Yaoyorozu Momo drank the black tea, quite boldly. If there is nothing else, I will go first. Well, I'll send it to you. The two walked to the gate side by side, and Wei Heng stepped forward and opened the door for Yaoyorozu Momo. It's quite a gentleman. Yaoyorozu Momo raised his charming lips, strode out of the room, and said without looking back, I remember you were the same age as me. Are you interested in coming to Shangying? Shangying Academy? Wei Heng closed his eyes slightly, then slowly opened them. The corners of his mouth curled slightly. Of course I'm interested. See you then. I'm waiting for you. Advertisement Chapter 003, Sudden Attack. Advertisement, Shangying Academy. After sending Yaoyorozu Momo away, Wei Heng came to the computer room and began to inquire about everything about Shangying Academy. Although I like playing games, fighting is more realistic than games. After checking the relevant information, Wei Heng directly delivered his own information. I believe that in a few days, he will receive a notification from Shangying Academy, and at that time, he will be able to take the admissions exam as he wishes. After everything was done, it was only 9 o'clock because of Yaoyorozu Momo. Wei Heng had no sleep at all. Let's go around the street, maybe you can come across some interesting things. Wei Heng stretched greatly, put on his coat, turned around and walked out the door. In this world full of superpowers, there are heroes, and naturally there are all kinds of criminals. Today is Monday, the so-called working day, and people of all ages come and go on the street to start a new day. Although it's 9 o'clock now, there are still a lot of office workers and students walking on the street. They all look a little flustered, thinking that they are about to be late. Roar. Suddenly, there was a beast-like roar in front of him. Wei Heng subconsciously looked towards the source of the sound. There was a huge, standing on 2 feet, wearing a shirt and jeans. A wild boar. What? Many citizens screamed, but strangely, very few people fled. Most of them stood there, looking like they were going to watch a good show. Bah! Ahead, the huge wild boar waved with one hand, and the telephone pole snapped, showing its destructive power. At the same time, the surrounding screams grew louder. Many police officers have arrived at the scene and evacuated the surrounding people, but many people still stayed where they were and did not leave. Various requests. I didn't expect the time to be just right. This system is quite good. Wei Heng, who was familiar with animation, naturally knew that the scene in front of him was the beginning of the entire animation. In midair, the telephone pole interrupted by the wild boar was getting closer and closer to the ground, and above it, a faint yellow arc was flashing. Advertisement, ho! Bang! Just as the telephone pole was about to fall to the ground, a burly and muscular man rushed forward at an extremely fast speed. In the shocked eyes of everyone, he actually caught the huge telephone pole with his bare hands. Because of gravity, a wave of air was set off on the ground, and even Wei Heng, who was still some distance away from the scene, could clearly feel it. Look, it's the Red Fist of Death. Hero, who became famous by his wrist strength. Oh my god, I didn't expect to see him so close. In the crowd, several citizens recognized the man in front and issued a message. A burst of exclamations. Brush. As soon as the citizen's voice fell, the streams of water suddenly joined together, forming a protective circle made of water, isolating everyone. Okay, back up a little, be careful of being hurt by the battle. The one who spoke was a man who dressed himself as a firefighter and wrapped his face tightly. And the water that isolates everyone comes from his hands. Wow, it's the disaster rescue, firebuster, that has come. The surrounding citizens began to cheer, and the original fear disappeared. Wei Heng took a few steps forward, and everything in front of him became clearer. Speaking of which, that criminal can turn into a monster of that size, such a powerful quirks. Hey man, what did he do? Robbing a bank. I heard that the police chased him with no way to escape. He was forced to help but then went berserk. With such a powerful quirks, doing something bad would rob a bank. I'm very sorry dear, because of some special circumstances. I'll be there soon, really, well, bye. Because of the appearance of Hero, the people around have completely ignored the huge figure in front of them, and many people have already begun to boo. Various requests. Look, that's Kamui. Someone in the chaotic crowd shouted, and the girls in the crowd immediately looked at them, their eyes turning into the shape of peach blossoms. Advertisement. A brown figure flexibly moved back and forth between the buildings. The branches whose hands turned brown stretched out, wrapped around the telephone pole, and jumped onto the back of the huge figure. The flexibility is good, but the strength is too far behind. In the middle of the crowd, Wei Heng pouted and shook his head slightly. The power system here is too weak compared to Hokage, but it's okay. This world can be used as a transition point for oneself, so as to adapt to the power of Uchiha Madara. In the front, Kamui in the jungle and the huge wild boar were fighting hard. Just as Kamui in the jungle was about to give the opponent the final blow, a figure even bigger than the wild boar suddenly sprang from the side and knocked the wild boar over with one kick. New generation hero, Mount Lady. Boom. The wild boar fell to the ground with a bang, foaming at the mouth, and his limbs twitched slightly, which seemed to be seriously injured. Jungle Kamui froze in place, motionless, as if he had eaten poop. Cooked duck just fly like this. Everything that happened in the morning was just a small episode, and the police quickly dealt with it. Next, everyone continues to do their own thing. It's time to go to work, it's time to go to school, it's business as usual. Because for them, such things are already commonplace, and they have long been used to it. Before crossing, Wei Heng had never been to Neon. Although everything happened was a bit inexplicable, since he came here, he naturally couldn't miss the opportunity. Wei Heng spent the whole afternoon wandering around, because he had never seen it before, so most of the things here gave him a novel feeling. It's almost time to go back. Looking at the large and small bags in his hand, Wei Heng nodded with satisfaction and headed towards the villa. However, before taking a few steps, a green human-shaped liquid suddenly sprang out from the alley beside him, looking very flustered. While passing by Wei Heng, green tentacles suddenly shot out from the body of the humanoid liquid, entangling Wei Heng tightly. Chapter 004. Sludge Monster Advertisement. What? Many people around Wei Heng were stunned when they saw this scene. It wasn't because of how terrifying the monster was, but because it happened so suddenly that people couldn't react in time. After just a few seconds, Wei Heng disappeared together with the monster. What's the matter? What was that thing just now? A criminal? A middle-aged man in a suit who had just gotten off work couldn't help but stretch his head and looked forward, but found nothing. Call the police. The one who was just taken away seems to be a child. Another young man frowned. Kindness. Ha 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 ha, what a nice body. In the dark street, the green tentacles strangled Wei Heng's neck tightly, rubbing against him. Boy, you are unlucky when you meet me, and you will have a good baby in your next life. While speaking, the silt monster's shot stretched out towards Wei Heng's nostrils and ears. Wei Heng, who was bound by the silt monster, narrowed his eyes slightly and his dark pupils changed quietly. Hey, that monster over there. Just as Wei Heng's eyes were about to change to Sharingan, a somewhat irritable voice suddenly sounded from the front. Wei Heng and the silt monster subconsciously looked at the source of the sound. The person who came was a child who looked about the same age as the current Wei Heng. He has pale blonde hair, and his eyes are full of murderous intent, giving people a feeling of no strangers should approach. Huh? Seeing that the person who came was just a child, contempt flashed in the silt monster's eyes. I thought it was a big man, but it turned out to be just a little kid. The silt monster changed the conversation, and Rikido gradually tightened his grip. I don't have time to mess around with you, I still have business to do. Then pass me first. The young man raised his head slightly, looked at Wei Heng who was bound, clenched his fists and slammed together. His tone was full of arrogance. Wait for me, I will save you soon, come out. It's just you? The silt monster seems to have heard some big joke. It's just a child. I'm afraid he doesn't even have a complete master of his own quirks. Still thinking of saving people? Who does he think he is? Professional hero, various requests. Advertisement. The young man in front of him, Wei Heng, knew, had great potential and was short-tempered, but he was unexpectedly calm and decisive. In general, he was a good boy. Bakugo Katsuki, quirks is blasting. The sweat of the palm can be upgraded, secrete sweat like nitroglycerin, and make it explode freely. Bakugo Katsuki can create an explosion at the palm of your hand, and can also convert the blast into propulsion, and the power of the explosion is proportional to the degree of sweating. Therefore, in summer, Bakugo Katsuki's explosiveness is strong, and in winter it is relatively weak. Do you look down on me? Bakugo Katsuki raised an eyebrow, gritted his teeth, and flashed fire in his hands. I'll show you what hell looks like in a while. It seems to be completely ignored. Wei Heng, who was bound, looked at Bakugo Katsuki, then at the silt monster, and blinked. The power of these green tentacles on Wei Heng was weakened a lot because the sludge monster turned most of his attention to Bakugo Katsuki. Now, as long as Wei Heng exerts a little force, even with the strength of an ordinary person, he can easily break free. Very good quirks, even I am a little moved. Seeing the fire in Bakugo Katsuki's hands becoming more and more obvious, the silt monster's eyes lit up. If I can get his quirks, I can avenge that man myself. Almost subconsciously, the silt monster completely forgot about Wei Heng's existence, loosened the tentacles that bound Wei Heng, and headed towards Bakugo Katsuki. Hey, it's just right. Bakugo Katsuki's mouth twitched, the flames in his hands were even brighter, and there was a hint of excitement in his heart. Various requests, boom. Bakugo Katsuki concentrated his power on his right fist and punched it hard, colliding with the silt monster quite violently. For a time, the surrounding fire was scattered, and the explosion sounded everywhere. The movement here also alerted the police who were patrolling around, and the surrounding citizens rushed over driven by curiosity. In the crowd, a citizen recognized the monster and exclaimed, "It's the silt monster from before. Isn't he already arrested by All Might? Why is he here?" Advertisement. Who is fighting the monster now? I can't see clearly, it looks like a child. Look, is there a child ahead? A careful girl covered her mouth and exclaimed. And what the girl said was naturally Wei Heng, who was watching the big play by the side. Where's the hero? Did you get in touch? I've been contacted, and I'm on my way. Damn it, why is it useless? In front of him, Bakugo Katsuki put his feet on the wall and jumped backwards to distance himself from the silt monster. He has attacked with all his strength, but the opponent is unscathed. From the current situation, it is obvious that the opponent has not defensive quirks. Bakugo Katsuki gritted his teeth and became a little dignified. Tisk, did you resolve all my attacks? Boy, I like you more and more. The silt monster twisted its body and kept approaching Bakugo Katsuki. Seeing this, Bakugo Katsuki could only dodge while attacking. After taking turns, his physical strength could not keep up. You run away, the farther the better. At this moment, Bakugo Katsuki has completely regarded Wei Heng, who was standing by the side, who has never shot, as a quirkless or a very weak quirks guy. You made a mess here. Where can I escape? Wei Heng spread his hands with a look of helplessness. There are flames all around. If you are an ordinary person, you can die in the sea of fire as long as you are not careful. Then find a safe place to hide. While speaking, Bakugo Katsuki charged forward again and gave the silt monster a hard blow. Boom! The flames suddenly became bigger. Thank you for your reminder, but I don't need to hide. Wei Heng closed his eyes slightly. When he opened it again, his pupils had changed from pitch black to scarlet, and there were 3 black hook jades slowly turning. Asterisk. Chapter 005. Sharingan's Illusion Advertisement. Hearing Wei Heng's voice, the silt monster finally realized that there was another person here. He turned his head and looked directly into Wei Heng's eyes, a little curious. This is your quirks? The sludge monster smiled disdainfully, completely ignoring Wei Heng, pink eye. Seeing this, Wei Heng's mouth secretly raised a slight arc, and he dared to look directly at Sharingan. I am afraid that only an idiot who knows nothing would dare to do such a thing. Boy, I'm waiting for you, let me see, what kind of ability you have. The disdain in the eyes of the silt monster did not diminish at all, but got worse. Why are you standing here? Why don't you hide? The other party kept not listening to his words, which made the already grumpy Bakugo Katsuki seem to have a fire burning in his heart. Wei Heng ignored Bakugo Katsuki, but stared straight at the silt monster. Want to see my ability? That's what you want. Brush. In the next second, the world in front of the silt monster shattered, the original flames were all extinguished, and there was only silence and empty streets around. Where's the person? This time, the silt monster was a little panicked, but he didn't show it, but looked around, as if he wanted to find a living figure. I heard before that someone did an experiment in a foreign country. Wei Heng's voice sounded like a ghost from all directions. Don't play tricks here, boy, get out of here. The silt monster kept twisting its body and walking around, but there was nothing around. You said, if a person is locked in a dark, silent place, how long can he last? Wei Heng's voice entered the mind of the silt monster, but Wei Heng was still nowhere to be seen. Hearing Wei Heng's words, the silt monster was a little panicked, and at the same time he also felt a trace of regret in his heart. He shouldn't be so reckless just now, at least he should figure out the other side's quirks, and it's not too late to provoke him. HMPH, I don't believe you can completely hide the people here. The silt monster kept comforting himself in his heart, and he hinted to himself over and over again that Wei Heng was only temporarily hiding the people and things around him. Before long, it will be back to normal here. Advertisement, to be honest, I'm very curious, so let's try it out with you. In the dark, the three Guyu in Wei Heng's eyes turned suddenly, just in the blink of an eye. The surroundings were completely plunged into darkness and dead silence, without any breath of life. Various requests, at the beginning, the silt monster was quite normal. No one talked to him, so he began to talk to himself, saying nonsense words that Wei Heng couldn't understand. After about 8 hours, the silt monster began to behave abnormally, crying from time to time, as if suffering from paranoia. 30 hours later, the silt monster couldn't bear it any longer, and started walking around randomly, even hitting the wall. However, this place is just an illusion. No matter how he bumps around, there will be no trace of scars. Of course, the pain will not diminish. 40 hours later, the silt monster has begun to hallucinate, and the whole person is in a state of despair and on the verge of collapse. He kept yelling, and when he couldn't find the wall, he kept hitting the ground with his head. Tisk tisk, it's only 40 hours? Wei Heng's figure gradually appeared in the darkness. I originally prepared another gift for you. Seeing Wei Heng, the silt monster seemed to see the dawn. He ran forward at a very fast speed and hugged Wei Heng's thigh. Please, let me out, I'm wrong, I'm really wrong now, please. In a state on the verge of collapse, the silt monster can no longer control other things, and now he just wants to go out, the sooner the better. Hearing this, Wei Heng squatted down and looked at the silt monster with a smile on his face. The big gift can't be prepared in vain. Whether you like it or not, I will give it to you. Wah. The pupils of the silt monster shrank suddenly, and when he reacted, he was already tied to a cross, unable to use quirks or move. The silence and darkness faded, everything around turned into a dazzling scarlet, and a blood-red moon hung in the sky. Advertisement Wei Heng appeared in front of the silt monster at some point, holding a blood-red, delicate dagger in his hand. Originally, this gift lasted for 3 days, but looking at your appearance, it should not last that long. Wei Heng fiddled with the dagger in his hand and smiled. I'll give you 1 day. Under normal circumstances, ordinary sharp weapons can't hurt silt monsters, but here, it's a fantasy created by Wei Heng, and Wei Heng has the final say in everything. Puff. What? The dagger was inserted into the body of the silt monster accurately, and no blood flowed out, but the severe pain made his eyes bloodshot. Various requests, the silt monster stayed in the illusion for nearly 3 days, but in reality, it was only a moment. At the moment of returning to the real world, the silt monster was relieved, collapsed to the ground and fainted. At this moment, he felt how beautiful the world was. Huh? Bakugo Katsuki looked bewildered when he saw the monster who had been fighting with him for a long time suddenly collapsed. Remembering the conversation between the other party and the silt monster just now, Bakugo Katsuki couldn't help turning his eyes to Wei Heng. What did you do? Right now, there are only 2 of them who can fight the silt monster, so Wei Heng is the most suspicious. It can even be said that Bakugo Katsuki is 100% sure that this is what Wei Heng did. At this point, Wei Heng's eyes had returned to normal. He turned his head to glance at Bakugo Katsuki, and then walked out without looking back. Nothing, just let him get a good night's sleep. Asterisk. Chapter 006. Who is it? Advertisement, just let it go. Outside the flames, the professional hero, S, arrived late, and when they saw the fire ahead, they suddenly felt a headache. I'm going to save people first. After Kamui finished speaking, he didn't wait for other professional hero, S, to reply, and rushed into the sea of fire first, and began to look for the survivors. Many reporters came to hear the news, and together with the passing masses, instantly surrounded the place. Can you tell me more about the situation? The muscular Death Red Fist walked to the side of the policeman and asked. According to witnesses at the scene, 1 child was taken hostage and another child was being rescued. It's just nonsense. Hearing that the rescuer was a child, Death Shaquan felt helpless. Who created these flames? Is it a child taken as a hostage or? Someone came out. The voice of the crowd interrupted the conversation between Death Shaquan and the police. Not far away, a young man with black hair and black pupils in casual clothes walked out of the sea of fire slowly, without a trace of panic on his face. Officer, he is the kid who was taken hostage. The kid who rushed in before managed to rescue him. No, why is he the only one who came out, the kid who saved people? Seeing Wei Heng, Death Chiquan hurried forward, squatted down, looked at him with concern, and asked, "How is it, is there any injury?" "No, there is another person inside, the one who saved me just now." Wei Heng shook his head gently, then raised his finger to the sea of fire behind him. "Don't worry, we will definitely save him." Death Chiquan looked at Wei Heng with a straight face. "You go to a safe place first, all." Advertisement, look, the kid who saved the life also came out. Death Chiquan's words were interrupted by the crowd again. He raised his head a little stiffly, and looked at Bakugo Katsuki who walked out of the sea of fire, almost unscathed, in disbelief. To be able to kill the criminals single-handedly and unscathed? The red fist of death looked at Bakugo Katsuki with an inexplicable gleam in his eyes. This kid definitely has a bright future in the future, and it would definitely be a big boost if he could win over him and let him join their firm after he graduates. Various requests. After seeing Bakugo Katsuki and confirming that the criminal had been taken down, reporters who wanted to grab the headlines rushed forward and broke through the police circle in an instant. A teenage kid defeats a criminal whose career heroes are tough to deal with, and it definitely hits the front pages. Looking at the blockbuster reporter in front of him, several crossroads appeared on Bakugo Katsuki's head. "Tisk, don't make a mistake, I didn't bring down the criminals." "Didn't you knock it down?" Hearing Bakugo Katsuki's words, most of the reporters slowed down and looked at him suspiciously. "Who knocked that down?" Bakugo Katsuki didn't answer the reporter's words, but turned his eyes to Wei Heng who was standing beside the red fist of death. The reporters followed Bakugo Katsuki's gaze and naturally noticed Wei Heng with black hair and black eyes. "You mean, the culprit was brought down by this young man?" One of the female reporters looked at Wei Heng and then at Bakugo Katsuki. "But isn't he a hostage? Ask him about this yourself." Bakugo Katsuki curled his lips and turned his head in annoyance, because he didn't know what happened at the time. Anyway, the criminal suddenly fainted, inexplicable. Xiao Sheng. At this moment, a green-haired boy squeezed out of the crowd with difficulty, and came to Bakugo Katsuki in 3 steps and 2 steps, looking at him worriedly. "Are you alright?" Advertisement after all. Before that, the target of the silt monster was him. If he hadn't been chasing All Might, this silt monster wouldn't have taken the opportunity to escape and come here to make trouble. "Zaiju, what are you doing here?" Bakugo Katsuki glared at Green Valley Izuku, then looked at Wei Heng, who was surrounded by reporters, with a displeased expression. "Tisk. Classmate, what's your name, what are your quirks, and where do you go to school? You are so good, have you considered going to school for Xiangying in the past?" "Excuse me, stop. Wei Heng was overwhelmed by these reporters. He kept backing away, but he still didn't escape the circle of reporters. Every time he took a step back, the reporters took a step forward, forming an endless loop. As for the red fist of death, it has long been drowned by reporters and disappeared. "Stop." Wei Heng took a deep breath, secretly condensed chakra, and roared, "It wasn't me who defeated the criminal, it was the yellow-haired guy." Hearing Wei Heng's words, the former female reporter was a little stunned, but he said that the criminal was defeated by you. As you have all seen, his quirks are much better than mine, so the criminals can only be defeated by him, not by me. Facing these annoying reporters, Wei Heng started talking nonsense. But at this time, all the reporters are stunned. Under normal circumstances, shouldn't they compete for credit when they encounter such a situation? After all, in the near future, these children will also worry about work. When encountering such a thing, show yourself well, and invitations from various offices will naturally be sent to your home. They have seen cases of shirk responsibility, but this is the first time they have seen this kind of shirk of credit. Chapter 007. A flick of October advertisement not far away. Green Valley Izuku said something to Bakugo Katsuki with a worried look, but Bakugo Katsuki didn't appreciate it at all, and didn't take Green Valley Izuku seriously. At this time, Wei Heng was the only one in his eyes. There are 2 reasons for chasing him. First, he must find out what means the opponent used to bring down the silt monster. Second, one day, he will definitely find an opportunity to stomp the opponent under his feet. In fact, All Might had come to the scene long before the silt monster was defeated, but because of his body, he couldn't fight again in a short time. Just when he was anxious, he saw that the child who was taken as a hostage and the child who rescued people, as mentioned by the crowd, walked out almost unscathed. As for the question of who defeated the silt monster, there are different opinions, and Wei Heng and Bakugo Katsuki even shirk each other. In this world, this is simply a spectacle. Don't worry about it for now. Seeing the chaos at the scene, the leading policeman sighed inwardly with a helpless expression. Let's send the 2 children home first. Out of the protection of minors, the police did not reveal any information about Wei Heng and Bakugo Katsuki, so Wei Heng was not harassed after returning home. The next few days were relatively dull. Wei Heng spent every day wandering, sleeping and eating. In the end, when Wei Heng was about to die of boredom, he finally received a notice from Xiangying Academy. However, the admission date stated on the notice is 10 months later. Advertisement, various requests. In the city police station, everyone is still discussing the case about the silt monster that happened a few days ago. Since the silt monster woke up, it was like crazy, crying and laughing for a while, making the police completely unable to start, and the progress of the case was stagnant. They called up Wei Heng's file for this purpose, and when they saw that Wei Heng's quirks was hypnosis, their doubts were dissipated a lot. However, considering that Wei Heng is still young and belongs to a minor, after discussion, the police station decided to seal up the files and sink everything into the sea. Of course, during this period, several teachers from Shangying Academy also came to investigate the matter. After all, Wei Heng also applied for the Shangying Academy. They have the right and need to understand the whole story. Of course, all of this was done in secret. Ding dong. A month later, Wei Heng, who was used to living alone, suddenly heard the ringing of his doorbell. He was a little uncomfortable for a while, and it took a long time to react. Opening the door, there is a familiar yet unfamiliar face, Yayorozu Momo. Yayorozu Momo is still wearing that slightly revealing red top, revealing her good figure undoubtedly. Haha, it seems that I guessed right, you are indeed at home. Yayorozu Momo smiled and put his hands behind his back. Madara, are you interested in going to the playground together? Playground? Wei Heng was still a little uncomfortable with Yayorozu Momo's enthusiasm, now? Well, I made a lot of appointments, and it will be very lively by then. By the way, have you applied for the Shangying Academy? Well, I have applied for the exam, and the notice has been received, but it is still early before the entrance exam. Your quirks is hypnosis, and Shangying Academy focuses on combat effectiveness. To be honest, I feel that you were a little hung up this time. Yayorozu Momo looked a little annoyed. If Wei Heng was defeated because of this, she would still feel a little sorry. Advertisement, don't think about it yet, don't worry about the entrance exam, I'll take care of it. Wei Heng gave her a reassuring look, then stepped forward and walked out the door. Don't you want to go to the amusement park? Let's go bar. Kindness. Various requests. As a recommended student, Yayorozu Momo has a promising future. His academic performance has always been among the best, and he has an absolute high IQ. For more than 8 months, Wei Heng also met many different kinds of friends because of Yayorozu Momo, and also saw all kinds of strange quirks. During this period, Yayorozu Momo's parents took extra care of Wei Heng, and let Wei Heng go to his house for dinner every 3 or 5 days. In addition, after a long wait of more than 8 months, it was finally time for the entrance test of Shangying Academy. 3 days later, at 8:40 in the morning, as one of the famous schools in Neon, Shangying Academy has many applicants. When Wei Heng came to the gate of Shangying Academy, it was already crowded with people, all of them were teenagers. Ah, you are. Just as Wei Heng was about to walk into the door, a puzzled voice sounded behind him. I remember you were the one who was taken away by the silk monster last time. Well, hearing this voice, Wei Heng stopped, turned his head in doubt, his eyes suddenly filled with green. Who are you? Although he knew the identity of the other party, Wei Heng pretended to be suspicious in order not to arouse the other party's suspicion. Hello, my name is Izuku Green Valley. Today I'm here to take the entrance test of Shangying Academy. Izuku Green Valley looked a little nervous, and even stuttered when he spoke. Come on. Wei Heng smiled, patted his shoulder lightly, and walked forward first. Chapter 008. Prelude to the entrance test advertisement. According to the school's reminder, after getting his own number, Wei Heng came to a huge hall. The Shangying Academy obviously took into account the number of students applying for the exam, and the seats were just enough to fill up. In front of the hall is a huge display screen, and in front of the display screen is a podium that is just big enough to accommodate one person. After everyone was seated, a figure finally stepped onto the podium. Friends who are taking the test, welcome to this exciting live broadcast. On the high stage, a middle-aged man with headphones who looked like a rock singer opened his hands and looked enthusiastic. Everyone say, hello, with me. The scene was silent, no student responded to him, and the scene was once very embarrassing. Cut. It's so boring. The man frowned and spread his hands helplessly, but the smile on the corner of his mouth did not diminish in the slightest. Next, all the students who are taking the test, I will now start to announce the brief and rules of the practical test. You listen carefully. The scene was still silent, and no one responded to him. This practical test is the same as what was written in the previous exam points, and we all have to participate in a 10-minute, simulated block exercise. During this period, you can bring any items. After I finish explaining, you can go to your designated exercise venue to prepare for this exciting practical test. Advertisement. There are 3 kinds of imaginary enemies with a large number configured by Shangying Academy in the exercise field, and different points will be given according to their degree of danger. Using your own quirks to defeat these imaginary enemies and earn points is your goal. Of course, it is strictly forbidden to attack other candidates during this period. As soon as the middle-aged man finished speaking, a student from the audience suddenly came out. I have a question, can I ask it now? Please say. There are 4 kinds of imaginary enemies in the manual. If the record is wrong, it would be a shame for the #1 Heroes Academy in Neon City. Our candidates are here to seek the guidance of those exemplary heroes. After the boy finished speaking, he quickly turned his head and looked at Izuku Green Valley behind him with a bad expression. By the way, if it's not too serious, the green curly-haired classmate on the right, you have been muttering there since just now, it's really disrespectful to the actual test site. If you plan to come here to fish in troubled waters, please leave here immediately. Various requests. Seeing this, the middle-aged man on the podium in front of him waved his hand and focused everyone's attention on himself. Okay. Classmate with test number 7111, the question you just mentioned is very good, I would like to thank you in advance. Of course, the 4th type of villains is 0 points. In other words, it is used to interfere with you. Each venue has a dangerous organ that collides with each other. Although it is not impossible for you to defeat, but what? It doesn't make sense to knock it down, and I recommend that listeners use their quirks to avoid it. That's all for now. At the end of the day, I'm going to tell you about the school's motto. The great hero, Napoleon Bonaparte once said, the real hero, is able to overcome the misfortune of life. The strong rush to the farther side, Okay, folks, enjoy the ordeal to the fullest. Advertisement. Please look at the number of the venue in your hands. For the venue A, please come here with me. In the hall, several teachers organized students in an orderly manner so as to lead them to their respective venues. My venue number is. In the middle of the crowd, Wei Heng fumbled around for a long time and finally found his number, A. After seeing his number, Wei Heng arranged his clothes at random, then followed the teacher's footsteps and set off towards the location of the A venue.
HMPH, I didn't expect you to be here. Before Wei Heng took a few steps, a rebellious voice came from beside him. Exactly, I can stomp you underfoot today.
It really is a child. Wei Heng glanced at Bakugo Katsuki silently, and then silently turned his eyes away. Are you looking down on me? Bakugo Katsuki froze instantly. He rushed to Wei Heng, blocking his path. Do you dare to compete with me? No, not interested. These two candidates, please don't make a loud noise. The teacher who led the way stopped and looked back at the two. If you have anything, please talk about it after you finish the exercise. Tisk. Bakugo Katsuki smacked his lips and gave way to Wei Heng, quite unhappy. You wait for me. I will definitely surpass you in this entrance exam. Why do you have to compare yourself with me? Wei Heng said slowly in the direction of Green Valley Izuku. Shouldn't you compare with him? HMPH, a guy who doesn't even have quirks can't get into heroes at all. Bakugo Katsuki glanced at Izuku Green Valley with a look of disdain, then turned his eyes to Wei Heng. We're not done with the previous thing, you wait for me. Chapter 009. Power Quirks. Advertisement. The exam is divided into several venues, and each venue is comparable in size to a small city, which looks quite spectacular at first glance. Should it be called Shangying Academy? Bakugo Katsuki has been staring at Wei Heng for a few minutes from the lobby to the venue A. Those who don't know the situation may think that the two of them have some hidden secrets. I believe everyone is clear about the rules. You have 10 minutes to prepare. After 10 minutes, the exercise will officially start. Finally, I wish all the candidates to get a satisfactory result. As soon as the voice fell, the leading teacher instantly disappeared without a trace. I'll ask you again, do you dare to compete with me? Seeing that the teacher had left, Bakugo Katsuki immediately rushed forward and stared straight at Wei Heng. Looking at the angry Bakugo Katsuki, Wei Heng was really speechless. He still knew Bakugo Katsuki's character. If he didn't compare with Bakugo Katsuki would probably keep entangled. Okay, how do you compare? While speaking, Wei Heng's eyes had turned scarlet, looking a little losing. It's better than who can get the first place. Bakugo Katsuki grinned, revealing 8 large white fangs, and then gradually walked away. Tisk, wait for me to crush you, pink eye. Your relationship doesn't seem to be very good. What happened? A warm-hearted candidate stepped forward and asked with concern. Nothing. Seeing that Wei Heng was unwilling to say more, the candidate also consciously did not ask more, but walked aside on his own and began to prepare for the activity. In the main control room, the teachers and heroes of Shangying Academy gathered together. The screen in front of them showed the situation of the candidates in each venue. I hope this year's students can give me some surprises. Aizawa Shota stared at 2 dead fish eyes, and stuck his chin with his right hand, looking bored at the candidates on the screen. Advertisement. After all, the candidates who defeated the Silt are also inside, so I think you won't be disappointed. The principal next to Aizawa Shota seemed very confident. Hypnosis is it's useless for machines. Aizawa Shota couldn't help turning his eyes to Wei Heng, whose eyes were scarlet on the screen. I'm more optimistic about the boy who rushed to save him 10 months ago than him. More than half a year ago, he looked through Wei Heng's information at the police station. Of course, the students he knew the most were Wei Heng and Bakugo Katsuki. If you can use it properly, the role of hypnosis in actual combat should not be underestimated. Although All Might said so, his eyes were always on Izuku Green Valley, whose whole body began to tremble on the screen. Come on, Green Valley boy, All Might said silently in his heart. Various requests, are you ready? After 9 minutes and 30 seconds, the middle-aged man dressed as a rock singer suddenly appeared at the forefront, with his arms outstretched and enthusiastic. Ready. The candidates answered collectively, with great momentum. For the entrance test, they dare not be sloppy. Haha, I like your enthusiasm now. The middle-aged man raised his hand and snapped his fingers. The test will start in 10 seconds, I wish you good luck. Hearing the words of the middle-aged man, many candidates were gearing up for it and began to get nervous. 3, 2, 1. Start, bang. As soon as the front door was opened, the candidates rushed forward in a rush. This battle was a match for the aunts rushing to the street. Advertisement. Among these students, Wei Heng came in relatively late, which made the contempt in Bakugo Katsuki's heart rushing in a little more. A rookie is a rookie. Bakugo Katsuki turned his head and said loudly. The next second, he used the impact force of the flames sprayed from his palm to rush forward in an instant, and disappeared in a blink of an eye. However, in Wei Heng's eyes, all of these are slow motions that can no longer be slow. Ahead, a candidate was about to use his quirks to defeat the imaginary enemy, but he never thought that a red-eyed shadow suddenly rushed up. Too slow. The corner of Wei Heng's mouth rose slightly, his right hand squeezed a fist and hit the imaginary enemy's joints ruthlessly. Ka. The originally tall imaginary enemy lost his support and instantly froze, turned into a pile of parts, and scattered on the ground.
What are you doing? Seeing the cooked duck flying like this, the candidate felt quite uncomfortable. This is my prey, why are you robbing it?
Is it written in the manual that candidates cannot compete with each other? Wei Heng smiled slightly. Take a good look at the exam rules, boy. The examinee was about to say something when he saw Wei Heng jumping onto the three-story roof, and he was immediately dumbfounded. Power quirks? The candidate smacked his lips dryly. I'd better not mess with him. In the main control room, seeing Wei Heng's performance, Aizawa Shota opened his mouth slightly, leaned on the seat, and said to himself, what's going on? Isn't his quirks hypnosis? How can it be so powerful? Defeat the imaginary enemy with one blow? The principal also noticed Wei Heng. This candidate is interesting. I remember his quirks as hypnosis? It seems. Is that so? Chapter 010. The Unconvinced Bakugo. Advertisement. Boom. 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 In the A venue, with fire and smoke, Bakugo Katsuki used his quirks recklessly to make a mess. On the contrary, his points are also rising, breaking through the 50 mark in a blink of an eye. So far, Wei Heng's points are 32. It seems that we must speed up. Although Wei Heng didn't care about the match with Bakugo Katsuki, it didn't mean he wanted to lose. Whoosh. Boom. Hey, the imaginary enemy has been beaten by the two of them, so what are we fighting for? In the venue, the candidates wailed. Wei Heng and Bakugo Katsuki almost punched one at a time, reaping the imaginary enemies at an extremely fast speed. It's not fair. Many candidates began to complain. Because of the two of them, many candidates' scores have not yet broken through double digits. Boom. On the other side, after Bakugo Katsuki blasted an imaginary enemy, he turned to look at Wei Heng, who was not far from him, pink eye. Why? Wei Heng also punched an imaginary enemy and said without looking back. What exactly are your quirks? Bakugo Katsuki really didn't understand. 10 months ago, he learned that Wei Heng's quirks were hypnosis, but hypnosis can punch an imaginary enemy? There must be something wrong here, guess. While speaking, Wei Heng smashed another imaginary enemy into pieces. Different from Bakugo Katsuki's violent dismantling attack, what Wei Heng attacked was the weakness of the imaginary enemy. Advertisement. So from the beginning of the test to now, Wei Heng is almost spotless and looks very relaxed. Unlike Bakugo Katsuki, his body is covered in dust, and his breath has begun to be a little chaotic. Guess you. The Rakido in Bakugo Katsuki's hand suddenly increased in size, and a wave of air drifted over, bringing a large amount of dust, making the surrounding candidates unable to open their eyes. At this moment, he has completely regarded these imaginary enemies as Wei Heng, in order to vent various requests. Finally, the last imaginary enemy in front of him was blown up by Bakugo Katsuki. He kept breathing heavily and looked a little embarrassed. For this competition, he also tried his best. On the other hand, Wei Heng still looked relaxed, which made him even more unhappy. Look, what is that? Beside Wei Heng, several candidates in a group looked at the huge monster that suddenly appeared in front of them, and couldn't help taking a deep breath. The exhausted Bakugo Katsuki looked at the candidate who was speaking with a puzzled expression, ignoring the huge mecha that suddenly appeared in front of him. The fourth type of imaginary enemy is used to interfere with our organs, everywhere. Even if they are defeated, it is useless. Wei Heng took a few steps forward and said. But this is too big, right? The candidate raised his head high, and couldn't help swallowing secretly. This mecha is even taller than the building. It is conservatively estimated that it is at least 30 meters high. Boom. At this moment, the huge mecha suddenly took a step forward, and the surrounding high-rise buildings were knocked over by him, in a mess. Hit. Can't beat it. Run. Help. With the first candidate who escaped, naturally there will be a second and a third. After a while, the active candidates have disappeared. Cut. Bakugo Katsuki stood where he was, lowered his weight, and grinned at the corners of his mouth, a bunch of cowards. Pink eye. Bakugo Katsuki pointed his finger at Wei Heng again. Take care of me. How did I kill you?
Bang. As soon as he finished speaking, Bakugo Katsuki jumped up into the sky with force under his feet.
Advertisement. Ho. Bang. Bakugo Katsuki punched down, but he was bounced off without causing even the slightest damage to this huge mecha. What? Bakugo Katsuki performed a perfect backflip in midair and landed steadily on the ground. His pupils contracted slightly as he looked at the huge fist that was getting closer and closer to him. Various requests, not far away. Wei Heng narrowed his eyes slightly, the three black hook jades slowly turned, and the figure disappeared almost instantly. Whoosh. Bang. Bakugo Katsuki only felt the scene in front of him change for a while, and when he reacted, the fist of the huge monster had already fallen, and he didn't know when he had come to a safe place. Jingle bell. Okay, candidates, the exam is over. The bell rang, a slightly lazy voice came from the broadcast, and as his voice fell, the huge mecha stopped moving. The results of the practical test will be announced within a week. Now, please go to the teaching and take the theory test. It's over? Bakugo Katsuki's forehead popped a few intersections after reacting. He turned around abruptly, but saw a pair of scarlet eyes. It's you? Bakugo Katsuki took a few steps back, distanced himself from Wei Heng, and said with a dissatisfied face, who asked you to do this? Don't do this. Do you see you being crushed into flesh? Wei Heng patted the dust on his body, then turned around and walked towards the exit. I'll go first. Our test results are a week away. We'll find out later. Bakugo Katsuki looked at Wei Heng's back and didn't speak for a long time. About 2 minutes later, he looked at where he was standing just now, couldn't help clenching his fists, and a trace of anger flashed in his eyes. That pink-eyed quirks is definitely not just hypnosis. I must kill that guy. Chapter 011. Aizawa Shota. Advertisement for Wei Heng. The next theoretical test is simply weak, and the theory test adopts the method of scoring by himself, so in Wei Heng's view, this theoretical test is not that important. What really matters is the practical test. It was 5:30 p.m. when I got home after everything was over. The crowd on the street was sparse, and the lights on the street had been lit. To Wei Heng's surprise, Yayorozu Momo was already waiting at his door. Seeing Wei Heng's arrival, she hurriedly stepped forward and asked, "How is it? What's the test result?" "It won't come out until a week later, but I don't think it's a big problem." "Huh, that's fine." Hearing Wei Heng's answer, Yayorozu Momo breathed a sigh of relief. "Come to my house for dinner today to celebrate?" "It is good." A week, whether fast or slow, passed in a blink of an eye. During this week, Wei Heng spent every day having fun, so for him this week passed very quickly. And today is the day to announce the results of the practical test. Early in the morning, the entrance of Shangying Academy was crowded with people, including students and parents. Since there were too many people in front of him, Wei Heng had no choice but to find a higher place in the back and turn on Sharingan. 71 points for kills, 20 for special rescues, ranking first, not bad. Wei Heng's mouth curled slightly. Bakugo Katsuki, 77 points for killing enemies, 0 for special rescues, ranking second. Izuku Green Valley, 0 points for kills, 60 points for special rescues, ranking 8th. Advertisement, various requests. That night, Wei Heng received an admission notice from Shangying Academy, and the class he was assigned to was Class A. Early the next morning, Wei Heng followed the directions on the map and found the teaching building where Class A was located. Although it is still early, many people have come to the classroom at this moment. Pink Eye. Just as Wei Heng stepped into the classroom, Bakugo Katsuki rushed up, rolled up his sleeves, and looked ready to fight. "I'm going to kill you. Be kind with your classmates." Ida, who was standing beside Bakugo Katsuki and who was arguing with him, hurriedly grabbed him. "And you are too cruel. Are you really someone who aspires to be hero? S. Nonsense. Of course I am." Bakugo Katsuki shook off Ida's hand and looked at Wei Heng viciously. "But before that, I have to kill this damn pink eye." Bah. Pink eye disease. Pink eye disease. Pink eye disease. It's really annoying. Wei Heng slammed his school bag on the desk, and his eyes instantly turned bloody scarlet, which startled everyone. "You remembered my name, Uchiha Madara. Okay, Uchiha, go back to your seat when you're done introducing yourself." As soon as Wei Heng finished speaking, a familiar and lazy voice suddenly appeared at the gate. Out of curiosity, everyone looked at the place where the sound came from, but only saw a medium-sized yellow sleeping bag. Immediately afterwards, the zipper of the sleeping bag was opened, revealing a head with long messy black hair and a decadent breath. "It's scary." Ida's mouth moved, and she couldn't help but take a few steps back, inadvertently distanced herself from this unidentified creature. Immediately afterwards, Aizawa Shota opened the zipper completely and walked out of the sleeping bag, still full of decadence. "I'm your head teacher, Aizawa Shota, please give me more advice." "Head teacher? No way. Advertisement, is this too decadent?" Hearing Aizawa Shota's self-introduction, everyone in the classroom began to discuss in a low voice, not knowing what to say. "Okay, don't waste any more time, wear this to the playground," Aizawa Shota said, taking out a blue tracksuit from his sleeping bag. "What?" Various requests. Because of Wei Heng's intervention, the composition of the students in the Hero's department of Shangying Academy has changed slightly. In the original plan, the principal of Shangying Academy planned to assign Wei Heng to Class B, but seeing his performance in the practical test, the principal had to reconsider and assign him to Class A. And the person who was replaced by Wei Heng was the rather lewd, purple dwarf in the original book, Minoru Mineta. "I didn't expect you to get into Class A, not bad." Halfway through the road, Yayorozu Momo approached at some point and walked side by side with Wei Heng. From Yayorozu Momo's point of view, Wei Heng's quirks, it would be good to be able to enter the Hero's class, but he didn't expect that he not only entered the Hero's class, but also the best 8 class. "I'll tell you there's no problem," Wei Heng chuckled. "Let's go." Led by Aizawa Shota, everyone came to the playground and stood still, looking around curiously. "Next, I'm going to give you the Quirks Master Test." Aizawa Shota's eyes swept over everyone, and he said slowly. "Quirks Master Test? What about the entrance ceremony? What about the school introduction? If you want to be a hero, you don't have time to participate in such leisurely activities." Aizawa Shota turned his back to the crowd and said without looking back, "One of the selling points of Shangying Academy is its free school spirit, and the same applies to teachers. Should you have done it when you were in junior high school? Disable Quirks Physical Fitness Test." Aizawa Shota turned sideways and took out his mobile phone from his pocket, and the content of today's test was clearly written on the screen of the mobile phone. Softball throwing, standing long jump, grip strength, 50 meters run, endurance run, repeated horizontal jumps, crunches, sitting forward bends. Asterisk. Chapter 012. Quirks Master Test Advertisement PS. For ease of reading, the title of the protagonist has been changed to Uchiha Madara. Various requests. Our country still uses those unified records to set average standards, which is unreasonable, but this is the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology neglecting its duties. Aizawa Shota put the phone back in his pocket and looked at Uchiha Madara. Uchiha won the first place in the practical test, right? How many meters can a softball throw in junior high school? 10 meters. Uchiha Madara really couldn't answer this question, not to mention that he never went to junior high school in this world, and even in the Tien Dynasty junior high school before crossing, he never threw a softball. Hearing this answer, Aizawa Shota was quite speechless, but thinking that Uchiha Madara's quirks was hypnosis, he didn't say much. Uchiha's quirks are hypnosis. I think these quirks are not very helpful for throwing softballs, so... Aizawa Shota said, turning his eyes to Bakugo Katsuki. Bakugo, how many meters can you throw in junior high? 67 meters. While speaking, Bakugo Katsuki turned his head and glanced at Uchiha Madara, the provocation in his eyes quite obvious. Then, you can use quirks and throw it, as long as you don't get out of that circle, you can do whatever you want. Aizawa Shota urged, hurry up and use all your strength. Then, Bakugo Katsuki took the softball from Aizawa Shota's hand, constantly moving his body, trying to concentrate his strength on his right hand, adding explosive waves to the power of the ball. Go to hell. Bakugo Katsuki roared, and an orange flame shot out from the palm of his right hand, forming a huge wave that pushed the softball out. First of all, you need to know where your limits are. That is a reasonable way to build the foundation of Hero. During the speech, Aizawa Shota raised the feedback device in his hand. The numbers on it made everyone take a breath. 705 meters. Is there a mistake? What's going on here? It's fun to be able to use quirks. You can use your own quirks to your heart's content, as expected of the Hero division that cultivates the highest combat power of Heroic Academy. Is it interesting? Hero in order to train you to become Hero but you think it's interesting? If you all have this idea, that's fine. Advertisement. Aizawa Shota couldn't help but feel a bad taste in his heart when he saw that everyone was treating this as a child's play. Then I will now announce the rules. In this assessment, I will consider the person who ranks last in the total score of the 8 projects as having no potential and will be expelled. In addition, you don't have to think about going to the principal to sue me, because I am your teacher. I have the right to eliminate you, and because here is the Hero department of Shangying Academy. What? Various requests. Uraraka Ochako looked worried and couldn't help but ask, Teacher, are you too unreasonable? We just eliminated people on the first day of school. We came here to become Hero Who? I don't want to be eliminated. Natural disasters, major accidents, and reckless villains will not reason with you. I'm going to teach you the first lesson now. Survival of the fittest, and when you become Hero there will be even more such experiences. If you want to be Hero who save the world in the future, if you want to raise your head in front of your loved ones, then let me see all your strengths. My words are still reserved. For those who pass the assessment, Shangying will spare no effort to give you the best resources. Of course, there will also be the most severe training. If you are confident, then the test begins. Excuse the last one. Beside Uchiha Madara, Yaoyorozu Momo lowered his head and frowned slightly, not knowing what he was thinking. It's a match for Kakashi. Uchiha Madara looked at Aizawa Shota and couldn't help but think of Hitaki Kakashi and Hokage who had done something similar to him. Okay, the demonstration is here. Next, it's the official test. Aizawa Shota lowered his head, stared at the feedback device in his hand, and said, the first item, the 50-meter run. 50 meters run, 5 seconds. Grip strength, 100 kilogram advertisement. Standing long jump, 15 meters. Repeated horizontal jumps, 200 times. Throwing softball, 182 meters. Crunches, 102. Sitting forward bend, 25 centimeters. Endurance run, 3 minutes. The above is the result of Uchiha Madara's ability to overwhelm his own strength. Although there were some small episodes in the middle, the quirks master test was successfully completed. There are no quirks that can enhance physical fitness, but the results are surprisingly good. Aizawa Shota looked at the records in his hands expressionlessly, feeling a little surprised. Could it be that this kid works out every day? Okay, next, I will announce the results of this test. The total score is very simple. It is the total score of each score. It is a waste of time to verbally explain one by one, so I will publish it together. Brush. As soon as Aizawa Shota finished speaking, a transparent panel appeared in front of everyone, and on it was written the total score and ranking of the 20 people in the class. This time in the quirks master test, Uchiha Madara came in 10th, right in the middle. Bakugo Katsuki ranked first, and Izuku Midori came last, as expected. Tell me for a moment, the dismissal is a lie to you. Aizawa Shota turned off the screen, swept across the crowd with a blank face, and then suddenly revealed a rather intriguing smile. This is a reasonable way to stimulate your quirks to the greatest extent possible. Hypocritical. Huh? Green Valley Izuku, who had been worried for a long time, heard Aizawa Shota's words, and he was completely stupid.
This is the end of the test. There are materials about the lesson plan in the classroom. After returning, I will read it carefully. After Aizawa Shota finished speaking, he left the playground without looking back, leaving only a decadent back for everyone.
Chapter 013. Hero Killer Stain advertisement.
After lunch at school and a few simple theory classes, it was already 5:30 in the afternoon. It's February now, and it's still winter, so although it's not yet 6 o'clock, it's already more than half dark.
Go home together. In the classroom, Yaoyorozu Momo simply cleaned up, came to Uchiha Madara's side, and said with a smile on his face. No, you can go back first. Uchiha Madara said slowly while packing up her books, the ingredients at home are running out, I'll go buy some. That's it. A trace of disappointment flashed in Yaoyorozu Momo's eyes, but since this was Uchiha Madara's decision, she couldn't force it. Then I'll go back first, see you tomorrow. Well, see you tomorrow. Looking at Yaoyorozu Momo's back, the red-haired Kirishima Eijiro walked to Uchiha Madara's side and gently bumped his shoulder. Hey, don't you want a beautiful woman to hug him? Are you still a man? You think too much, she and I are neighbors, just drop by. Uchiha Madara picked up her school bag with a bit of laughter, and waved to Kirishima Ejiro. See you tomorrow. Ah, see you tomorrow. Kirishima Ejiro smiled wickedly because he didn't believe Uchiha Madara's bullshit at all. Huh, neighbors. What a liar. Look, I don't kill you tomorrow, damn pink eye. Bakugo Katsuki once again issued his provocation the moment Uchiha Madara passed by Bakugo Katsuki. Okay, I'm waiting for you. Baku, how? Victory, gee. To be honest, Uchiha Madara can accept this kind of provocation once or twice, but once there are too many, it will be really annoying.
Now, Uchiha Madara's patience is almost exhausted.
Advertisement. His eyes turned red in an instant, and the three black hooked jades spun rapidly. Opposite Uchiha Madara, Bakugo Katsuki only felt a whirlwind and just got up. He fell to the ground, and his life and death were uncertain. Bakugo. Little victory. Ida and Midori Izuku let out an exclamation at the same time, and then quickly stepped forward to check the situation of Bakugo Katsuki. Uchiha-kun, how can you use quirks on Bakugo-kun? Do you know that it's forbidden? Ida, who has a strong sense of justice, came to Wei Heng in 3 steps and began to confront him. I didn't do anything to him, I just let him sleep for a while. Uchiha Madara bypassed Ida who was standing in front of him, and said without looking back, and you can see that he provoked me first. Yes, and more than once. Uchiha Madara. Ida looked at Uchiha Madara angrily and was about to step forward, but was stopped by the rest of the class. Well, let's wait for the teacher to handle this matter. Asuisuyu pulled Ida's shirt. Actually, both Uchiha-san and Bakugo-san are responsible for this matter. Well, you're right, wow kun. Ida took a few deep breaths and finally calmed down. Just call me Suyu-chan. Asuisuyu stuck out his long tongue, smiled lightly, and winked at Ida. Various requests, beef, all kinds of vegetables and soy products. Well, it's almost there. On the street, Uchiha Madara was carrying out a big purchase, and both hands were full. Oh, if only the system could cook for me. Thinking of the system, Uchiha Madara couldn't help sighing in his heart. Advertisement. Since that damn system said it was going to repair itself, it was like dead and never came back. Although Uchiha Madara can have these vendors deliver things to their homes with just one phone call, he is still used to purchasing by himself, and only in this way will he feel more at ease. Go home. Uchiha Madara slung his pockets over his shoulders and started swiftly in the direction of the villa. The sky was dark, and the streetlights were fully turned on, illuminating the city brightly, but at this moment, Uchiha Madara, who was walking on the street, suddenly stopped. A strong smell of blood drifted from the tip of his nose, and the source of this smell of blood was the alley beside Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara frowned slightly, her eyes instantly turning scarlet. The originally dark world became extremely clear in the blink of an eye. In the alley beside him, a man in bandages, dressed as a ronin, and holding a sword was approaching the prey, in the corner step by step, with crazy killing intent flashing in his eyes. Stain. The hero's killer? Uchiha Madara subconsciously exclaimed upon seeing this familiar figure. Huh? The sword that Stain was about to fall stopped in midair because of Uchiha Madara's appearance, and he didn't fall, you know me? The moment Stain turned to his side, Uchiha Madara clearly saw the blood-covered figure in the corner. It was the Red Fist of Death who had a relationship with Uchiha Madara. It's just that at this moment, the Red Fist of Death has long since lost his high spirits. His body is covered with large and small wounds, and the bridge of the nose was punched fiercely, turning blue and purple. This is not the place you should come. Hurry up and leave here. Seeing the figure of Uchiha Madara in front of him, the pupils of the Red Fist of Death shrank suddenly and hurriedly shouted. The opponent is obviously a child. How could he have beaten criminals who specialize in professional heroes? Chapter 014. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan Advertisement. Facing Stain, who could kill the boy at any time, the heart of Death Red Fist could be said to be in his throat. What made Death Shaquan didn't expect was that Stain didn't show any killing intent towards Uchiha Madara, but slowly put down the dagger in his hand and looked at him blankly. He's right, this is not the place for children to come. The place. At least I won't do anything to you until you become a professional hero, Stain said, glancing at the badge on his uniform. Shangying Academy, a place that specializes in producing professional heroes, and the quality of the professional heroes produced is not bad. Uchiha Madara ignored Stain, but waved at the Red Fist of Death and said with a smile, the Red Fist of Death, do you remember me? You should get out of here soon. Death Red Fist was a little speechless. Could this child be a fool? Can't he see what's going on now? We were fortunate enough to meet each other more than 10 months ago. Uchiha Madara put down the ingredients in his hand one by one. I have a pretty good impression of you. Huh? Death Shaquan tried desperately to recall, but he still couldn't remember where he had seen each other. Boy. Stain interrupted the conversation between the two, and put the back of the sword on his shoulder. I'll give you 5 seconds to disappear from my sight. What if I say no? The corners of Uchiha Madara's mouth twitched slightly, and the 3 black hooks in his eyes slowly turned. I don't have time to play with children. Stain's eyes flashed fiercely. If you don't go, you will die. Then give it a try. As soon as Uchiha Madara finished speaking, the whole person disappeared in place in an instant. When he reappeared, he had already brought the Red Fist of Death to the place that was 20 meters away from the hero's killer Stain place. Various requests. What? Stain's pupils shrank instantly. He only felt a black shadow flashing in front of him, and the speed of this black shadow was so fast that the naked eye couldn't see it at all. Advertisement. You. Suddenly coming from one place to another, the Death Fist couldn't react for a while, so he could only stare blankly at Uchiha Madara. Teleportation? Remember the Silt incident 10 months ago? I have a little impression. Death Red Fist nodded lightly. I was the one who was taken hostage back then. Uchiha Madara took a few steps forward, holding the Red Fist of Death behind him, facing Stain directly. It turned out to be you. But I remember that your quirks were not. As a witness to the Silt incident, Death Fist was also one of the people who knew Wei Heng's quirks. But how do quirks like hypnosis suddenly move from side to side? Could it be that I have been hypnosis? Thinking of this, Death Kai Fist involuntarily patted his cheek. Boy, you're kind of funny. Stain recovered from the shock, stared into Uchiha Madara's scarlet eyes, and became serious. In the next second, Stain raised the tachi in his hand high and then slammed it down, causing a burst of wind to blow off the remaining blood on it. However, a child is always a child and won't understand what a real hero is. Stain bowed slightly, not concealing the murderous intent in his eyes. Although this goes against my principles, it is your own responsibility. Found. Get out of here quickly, you are not his opponent. Seeing Uchiha Madara preparing to fight Stain, the Red Fist of Death felt his heart skip a beat. Don't be stubborn. Because of the fiery movement that affected the wound, Death Shaquan's breathing was a little short. Go find a professional hero. He is not something you can deal with. It's too late. A red light flashed in Stain's eyes. He exerted force under his feet and rushed forward at an extremely fast speed. Under the illumination of the street lamp, the sword reflected a cautious silver light. Advertisement, don't. Behind Uchiha Madara, because his whole body was stiff, Death Fist could only watch Stain getting closer and closer to Wei Heng, but he couldn't do anything. Various requests, in the eyes of the Red Fist of Death, Stain's speed is extremely fast, so fast that only an afterimage can be seen with the naked eye. But in Uchiha Madara's eyes, Stain's speed is nothing short of slow motion. At this moment, Uchiha Madara's eyes changed quietly, and the three black hooked jade rapidly rotated and instantly connected together to form a closed circle. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. At the moment when Stain's sword was about to fall, a layer of unknown blue substance suddenly emerged from Uchiha Madara's body, surrounding him and forming a light blue skeleton. Bah! The sword collided with the skeleton, making a crisp sound, but because of the reaction force, Stain was thrown straight out and fell heavily into the garbage pile not far away. The Death Red Fist lying in the corner looked straight. He never dreamed that if he hit it, it would be the result it is now. And he clearly remembered that the quirks of Uchiha Madara written in the document were hypnosis, but what was this blue skeleton-like thing in front of him? It's really weird quirks. Stain didn't mean to flinch when he missed a hit, but instead showed a strong curiosity in his eyes. However, after curiosity, madness almost turned into reality. It's just a little kid. What's your hero? Stain's hand holding the knife tightened slightly, ready to exert force at any time. Let me see how good you can get. Asterisk. Chapter 015. Absolute crushing advertisement. As soon as Stain finished speaking, he suddenly disappeared in place, more than twice as fast as before. However, in the eyes of Uchiha Madara, he is still in slow motion. Ding! 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 Under the dim light, the sword was flying, and the silver reflection was printed in the alleys of the street, making it dazzling. In dozens of seconds, Stain swung hundreds of knives, each of which hit the blue skeleton surrounded by Vice Admiral Uchiha Madara. But to Stain's surprise, he couldn't hurt Uchiha Madara at all, not even breaking Uchiha Madara's defense. At this moment, Stain finally realized the seriousness of the problem. His quirks are blood coagulation. As the name suggests, as long as he can get the blood of the opponent, he can coagulate the blood of the opponent, so as to seal the action of the opponent. As for the specific time, it depends on the blood type of the opponent. But from the current situation, he can't even break the opponent's defense, and it's a fool's errand to want to get blood. Stain has lived so long, and along the way, there are not many defenses he can't break. Uchiha Madara's is one. Is it enough? Seeing that Stain stopped and didn't mean to attack anymore, Wei Heng finally said, "Is it my turn?" Damn it. Not far behind Uchiha Madara, Death Fist was still trying to move his body, but it was still in vain. He admitted that Uchiha Madara's quirks are very powerful, but no matter how powerful the quirks are, without systematic training or combat experience, their combat effectiveness is still infinitely close to zero. I said, you should go and find a professional hero. The words of Death's Red Fist were almost shouted, but Uchiha Madara acted as if he hadn't heard it, and still walked forward on his own. The Red Fist of Death was about to collapse. Advertisement. Various requests. Boy, I admit that your quirks are very strong, but if you want to become hero, you are still a little tender. Stain's eyes were bloodshot, because you don't have the consciousness to be hero, at all. Who said I was going to be a hero, Uchiha Madara put his hands in his trouser pockets, his eyes even more scarlet in the moonlight. What do you mean? Stain frowned slightly. Literally. Uchiha Madara turned slightly sideways and glanced at Death's Red Fist. I just find him more pleasing to the eye, so I'll just take care of my business. You? Hearing this, Stain gritted his teeth and clenched the sword in his hand. I originally planned to abolish you today, but now it sees that I must take your life today. What Uchiha Madara said just now has been hitting Stain's brain, because Stain understands hero, better than the average person, and what he hates most is hero, who specializes in making trouble. Not to mention that in Stain's eyes, Uchiha Madara is not even a hero, and the single charge of making trouble is enough for Stain to kill him. Whoosh! Stain's figure kept bouncing back and forth on the buildings on both sides of the alley, forming black afterimages that were hard to see with the naked eye, disturbing Uchiha Madara's vision. However, in Uchiha Madara's eyes, Stain's actions are simply ridiculous.
Because, in the state of the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, Uchiha Madara sees everything.
Whoosh! The blue skeleton on Uchiha Madara melted at once, and his figure instantly appeared beside Stain, grabbed Stain's collar with his right hand, and threw him out. Bang! With a muffled sound, Stain's back came into intimate contact with the brown wall. This sound, just listening to it, made people feel chills in the back. Stain stood up with difficulty and looked at Uchiha Madara in shock. Cough, how is this possible? How old is he? 15 years old. Even if you train every day, physical skills can't be so strong. Advertisement, various requests, could it be the composite quirks? Stain's eyes were erratic, and he kept guessing in his mind.
Ahead, the blue skeleton that originally wrapped Uchiha Madara reappeared, like a flame, especially conspicuous in the darkness.
With every step he took, the pressure on Stain increased. Just when Uchiha Madara was only about 10 steps away from Stain, he stopped and looked Stain in the eyes. Opposite Uchiha Madara, Stain is also ready to fight, ready to swing his dagger. Right in front of Stain, the figure of Uchiha Madara disappeared again, without even giving him time to react. Uchiha Madara reappeared in front of him, and was only 1 step away from him. I won't kill you today. Uchiha Madara said blankly, it's just that I have to take the red fist of death. As soon as the words fell, Uchiha Madara didn't give Stain time to answer, and punched directly on the wall on the right. Boom! Uchiha Madara punched down, bringing a strong wind, the wall collapsed, shattered into countless rubble, scattered on the ground. Stain's pupils shrank suddenly, and he knew in his heart that such power was not something he could handle now. Are you okay? You dare? Even though he knew that he might not be the opponent's opponent, Stain was still ready to fight to the end. It had nothing to do with strength or other factors, it was his principle. Invalid objection. Stain only felt a black shadow flickering in front of him, and Uchiha Madara had come to the side of the red fist of death. Uchiha Madara stood in front of the red fist of death, turned slightly sideways, and a pair of scarlet eternal Mangekyo Sharingan stared straight at Stain. Remember my name, Uchiha Madara, Chapter 016. Teacher All Might. Advertisement. Uchiha Madara carried the red fist of death, and his figure flickered several times in the dark, but within a few seconds, he took the red fist of death to a relatively safe place very close to the hospital. What the hell are you? For Uchiha Madara's wind-like speed, the red fist of death was already a little numb. It's just that he was curious why Quirks, who is Hypnosis's Uchiha Madara, has such a strong fighting power. 10 months ago, if I was in danger, you would have come to rescue me without any scruples, wouldn't you? Uchiha Madara found a relatively comfortable position and let Death Fist sit down. But in the end, you defeated him. The red fist of death leaned his head against the wall. Although you strongly deny it, I know that you defeated the silt monster. Your quirks are hypnosis, and the other kid's quirks are blasts. Quirks that can make silt monsters mentally disturbed are only hypnosis. Okay, the matter is over, you and I don't owe each other. Uchiha Madara stood up and looked into the distance. There's a hospital over there, can you go there yourself? Don't you owe each other? Wait, what do you mean? The red fist of death raised his hand and grabbed the corner of Uchiha Madara's shirt. Besides, shouldn't you go to the police station with me? Do you know that Stain is who? Stain, the hero's killer. Of course I know who he is. Uchiha Madara squeezed slightly and broke away from the hand of Death's red fist. I don't want the police to know about this, so I won't go to the police station or something. It's just as if it didn't happen. I didn't save you 10 months ago, why did you save me? Hearing this, Uchiha Madara paused, because it is more pleasing to the eye to see you. However, I always feel like I've forgotten something. Uchiha Madara turned around, muttered in a low voice, and walked forward without looking back. 10 minutes later, Uchiha Madara, who was walking home at a very slow pace, finally realized what was wrong. The ingredients he just bought are all in the alley where he fought with Stain. Various requests. Advertisement. The hero's killer Stain incident was just an episode too small to be ignored for Uchiha Madara. The next day, he came to Shangying Academy on time for class, but just after arriving in the classroom, Uchiha Madara was called to the office by the teacher. Along with him, there's the sullen and unhappy Bakugo Katsuki. Ah, what a headache. In the office, Aizawa Shota still had a decadent look on his face. I didn't expect such a thing to happen to my class on the first day of school. The thing in Aizawa Shota's mouth is naturally the thing that caused Bakugo Katsuki to faint when Uchiha Madara was excited yesterday. Student Uchiha, I hope you can understand that it is forbidden to use quirks for private fights in the school. Speaking of this, Aizawa Shota's eyes suddenly sharpened. Otherwise, I have the right to expel you at any time. And Bakugo-san. Aizawa Shota sat up straight. I don't expect you to change your personality, but I hope you can calm down a little and don't cause too much trouble. Come on, I see. Bakugo Katsuki put his hands in his trouser pockets and turned his head reluctantly. Where's classmate Uchiha? Aizawa Shota turned to look at Uchiha Madara. I try my best. I don't want you to be punished because you were the first offender, but... Aizawa Shota took out a folder from the drawer and handed it to Bakugo Katsuki. The school's cleaning this month, you two have packed it. Huh? Hearing this news, Bakugo Katsuki immediately exploded, and he threw the folder on Aizawa Shota's desk with a flick of his hand, pointing his right index finger at Uchiha Madara. You mean, I want to fight this pink eye? Clean up together? Yes, and we clean together after school every day. Aizawa Shota's smile was a little scary because his eyes were bloodshot. If looks can kill, Uchiha Madara is estimated to have died hundreds of times. Bakugo Katsuki endured it for a long time, but after all, he couldn't hold back. Damn pink eye, I'm going to kill you. Advertisement, various requests. The morning courses at Shangying College are compulsory subjects, and there are general courses such as English, which are unexpectedly simple and are at the level of elementary school students. However, there is also a good point here, that is, you can enjoy first-class cuisine at a low price in the large cafeteria at noon. But Uchiha Madara thinks the best thing here is ramen. And the price is ridiculously low, a bowl of ramen is only 100 yen. After lunch, the afternoon class finally arrived, Hero S. Fundamentals. Come in. It's very common to enter through the door. In the afternoon, the class bell just rang, and All Might, dressed in red tights, full of muscles, wearing a blue cloak, and dressed like a Superman, took an extremely exaggerated gesture entered the classroom. Oh my god, it's actually All Might. Wow, I've heard of others before, but I didn't expect All Might to actually be a teacher in Shangying. Wow, look at him, it's the costume of the Maiman Silver Age, and with his muscles, it's perfect. The style of this painting is so different that I get goosebumps watching it. Seeing All Might, everyone looked crazy, especially Izuku Green Valley, their saliva was almost dripping. All Might walked to the podium, with his hands on his hips, full of energy. Hello everyone, the course I am in charge of is the basic course of heroic warfare, which is a course that carries out various brutal trainings to build a strong hero S foundation. Of course, the credits are also the most in the course. It's not too late, the training we are going to do today is combat training, and this is what comes with it. Everyone, look here. All Might raised his hand, and everyone looked in the direction of his finger. A square box was drilled out of the wall in an orderly manner, and a yellow number was written on it. These boxes are your battle uniforms, which are customized based on the quirk's reports and needs you have submitted before enrolling. Everyone, now, immediately, after changing into training uniforms, go to the playground in order to gather. Oh, Chapter 017, Indoor Battle Advertisement. The clothing requirements provided by Uchiha Madara are exactly the same as those of Madara in the previous Hokage world. So now, Uchiha Madara is wearing a black tight-fitting combat uniform and a black long shirt, which is full of traditional Japanese atmosphere and is very similar to the ancient Japanese ninja uniform. On the outside of the costume, it is also equipped with iron red armor, which can provide effective protection in battle. Pink Eye, do you think you're a ninja when you dress like this? Bakugo Katsuki looked disdainful when he saw the clothes on Uchiha Madara in the changing room. You guessed it right. Uchiha Madara buttoned the last button on her clothes and nodded slightly. I'm really a ninja. It's really a middle school illness. Bakugo Katsuki gave Uchiha Madara a stern look. I'm still wearing armor, and I'll kill you. It's also very important to start with clothing, boys and girls. From today onwards, you must have the self-consciousness of being hero S. All Might stood in front with his hands on his hips, revealing 2 neat rows of big white fangs. Is the battlesuit good, ninja? Yaoyorozu Momo walked up to Uchiha Madara in 3 or 2 steps and looked at him curiously. Your clothes. Uchiha Madara was also looking at Yaoyorozu Momo, who was wearing revealing clothes. Has your clothes changed from the original? You don't understand. Yaoyorozu Momo gently lifted her long hair and winked at Uchiha Madara with a mysterious look on her face. Yes, everyone is handsome. All Might's eyes swept over everyone and nodded with satisfaction. Okay, let's start. Fertilized eggs. Teacher. At this moment, Ida in armor suddenly raised a hand and said solemnly, if I remember correctly, this is the practice ground for the entrance exam, so, are we still doing a simulated block exercise? Our training this time is 2 levels higher than the entrance exam. All Might held out 2 fingers. Although all we can see, Hero S. crusades against villains are mainly carried out outdoors, but according to computer statistics, the probability of criminals appearing indoors is actually higher, such as burglary, theft, etc. And some incarceration, human trafficking, underground trade, in this society with quirks everywhere. Ahem, that's too far. In short, the truly terrifying and cunning villains, most of them lurking in the dark, peeping over the world. Advertisement. Okay, let's get down to business. Next, you will be divided into villains group and hero S group of characters from 2 different camps, and have a 2-on-2 indoor battle. Teacher, don't we have to do basic training? Asked Asui Suyu tilted his head in the crowd. This project is a practice for you to better understand the basics, but the focus of this practice is that you are no longer dealing with slow-thinking robots that can be destroyed, but living humans. Can I beat them up? While speaking, Bakugo Katsuki, dressed like a grenade, stared at Uchiha Madara with a stern look on his face. Is there any kind of punishment like Aizawa-sensei's direct expulsion from school? If it is divided into groups, what kind of division method should be adopted, 1 strong and 1 weak, or is it random? Hey, do you think my cloak is more handsome than yours? I still think Teacher All Might is so handsome. Everyone sparsely talked small talk, and it didn't take long for the scene to be chaotic. All Might took a deep breath, looking helpless. He really isn't fit to be a teacher. If it wasn't for the Green Valley boy, he wouldn't come to Shangying Academy. Various requests. Quiet. Listen carefully. The setting of the scene is that the villains side will hide the nuclear weapon somewhere in the stronghold, and the hero S side will go to the place where the nuclear weapon is located and be safe. Eliminate this threat. The hero S side needs to capture the villains within a limited time, or successfully and safely recover the nuclear weapon. The villain side needs to protect the nuclear weapon from being dismantled by the hero S side within a limited time, or it can directly catch the hero S. All Might took out a small box out of nowhere and held it high. Partners and opponents are decided by lottery. Advertisement. Group C. Looking at the lottery slip in his hand, Uchiha Madara raised his head and started looking for his team members. Hi. While Uchiha Madara was looking for the team members, Yaoyorozu Momo appeared out of nowhere and looked straight at Uchiha Madara with a smile on his face. Are you in Group C? Uchiha Madara lowered her head slightly and saw the lottery slip in Yaoyorozu Momo's hand at a glance. Positive solution. Yaoyorozu Momo raised the small note in his hand. Madara classmate, we are really destined. N. Uchiha Madara put away the lottery slip and smiled slightly. Then, could you please advise me? Well, please advise. The first group, Villains Group Bakugo Katsuki, Iida Idavs Hero. S. Group Midori Izuku, Uraraka Ochako. In the end, the first group battle ended with Midori Izuku seriously injured and the Hero S group winning. The building used for the battle was also in ruins due to the strong fighting power of Izuku Midori and Bakugo Katsuki. The second group, Villains Group Uchiha Madara, Yaoyorozu Momo vs Hero S. Group Jiro Kyoka, Kaminari Denki. They know your quirks, so I'm afraid they won't choose melee combat. At the top of the building, Yaoyorozu Momo frowned, thinking about countermeasures. The way to win is to catch both of them or just keep going. Yaoyorozu Momo raised his head, stretched out a finger, and smiled. Maybe, we can take the initiative. But can you defend this nuclear bomb alone? Uchiha Madara tapped the big iron beside him. Who said I kept it? Yaoyorozu Momo showed a mysterious smile. When the time comes, it's up to you. Chapter 018, Rescue Training Advertisement. Yaoyorozu Momo seemed to believe in Uchiha Madara's appearance. After saying a few words, he went downstairs alone without even drawing up a decent battle plan. Uchiha Madara reluctantly leaned on the big metal sheet beside him and judged Yaoyorozu Momo's every move through wireless headphones. Boom! Suddenly, there was an explosion from the earphones that Uchiha Madara was wearing, which was accompanied by a large amount of electric current. It won't fail, will it? Uchiha Madara stood up straight and pressed one of the buttons on the earphones. 100, can you hear me? I'm fine. One of them came up. Be careful. Yaoyorozu Momo's voice sounded a little embarrassed. Sorry, the battle plan seems to have failed. You didn't tell me there was a battle plan. Uchiha Madara was speechless and stretched. Let them come. Zizizi. As soon as Uchiha Madara finished speaking, there was a burst of electric current in front of him, followed by Kaminari Denki's confident words. Nuclear weapon, I accept it. Boom. The next second, the front door was blasted open, rubble splashed, and dust scattered everywhere, blocking Uchiha Madara's vision. Want this piece of iron? Let's go through me first. Uchiha Madara's eyes suddenly turned scarlet, and the figure disappeared instantly, punching Kaminari Denki in the stomach. Bang. Kaminari Denki covered his stomach with a look of pain, but then he found that his stomach didn't seem to hurt as much as he imagined. The dust cleared, and Uchiha Madara stood beside Kaminari Denki, folded his arms, and looked at him with such determination. I know your quirks are hypnosis, and I guess the premise for you to activate quirks is to look someone in the eye. Kaminari Denki lowered his head and his feet suddenly exerted force. I won't look into your eyes. Advertisement. Hearing Kaminari Denki's words, Uchiha Madara still stood there unmoved, just watching him hold the nuclear weapon in his arms. We won. Kaminari Denki raised his head and shouted excitedly, but the bell for the end of the exercise did not ring. Various requests, Kaminari Denki blinked and pressed the button on the headset. Kyoka-chan? There are 3 minutes left before the show is over. Uchiha Madara walked over to Kaminari Denki unhurriedly and sat down. Let's chat? Could it be? Kaminari Denki seemed to think of something. His pupils shrank suddenly. Uchiha, I didn't look into your eyes. Why? Who said you have to look at the eyes? Uchiha Madara's mouth raised slightly. From the moment you entered here and saw me, you have already lost. In the main control room outside, All Might and everyone looked at Kaminari Denki, who was stunned and expressionless. Is this hypnosis? Bakugo Katsuki stared at the big screen, and couldn't believe it. How on earth did Uchiha do it? Doesn't hypnosis need a medium? In terms of the medium, it should be the eyes, but the Kaminari boy didn't see the Uchiha boy's eyes. All Might rubbed his chin and muttered to himself, this is a bit strange. As time passed by, Kaminari Denki, who was trapped in the illusion, exhausted all kinds of methods, but still could not get out of the illusion. Finally, the bell rang for the end of the exercise, marking that the winner of this exercise was the villains group. It's over. In the realm of illusion, Uchiha Madara smiled slightly, raised his hand and snapped his fingers. Everything around him shattered in an instant. In reality, Kaminari Denki finally woke up. He rubbed his eyes and found that nothing had changed around him, except that he had been standing at the gate and did not move at all. My god, what kind of quirks are these? Kaminari Denki sighed long, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. Uchiha-san, according to what you said in the illusion just now, isn't your quirks incomprehensible? Advertisement, probably. Uchiha Madara turned around and waved at Kaminari Denki. I'll go back first. Various requests. In the following time, the battles of the other groups proceeded in an orderly manner, and at about 3:30 in the afternoon, the battles of all the groups ended perfectly. As a result, with the exception of Izuku Midori who was seriously injured, the others were either slightly injured or unscathed. Next, All Might ended today's Hero S basic course early for an extremely bizarre reason, which also led to the 20 people in Hero S Class A who had been studying in the classroom until 5 o'clock before going home. In the next few days, Shangying Academy and the entire Neon have been in a calm state, and nothing major has happened. The only thing that can be called a major event is that the reporters learned from nowhere that All Might was teaching at Shangying Academy, so that Shangying Academy was surrounded by water and even set off the security alarm. In desperation, the teachers of Shangying Academy had to refuse with a tough attitude, and made up all kinds of strange reasons for All Might not to come to work today, and the situation was brought under control. Today's hero, fundamentals is a bit special. Aizawa Shota, All Might, and another teacher teach together in a supervised form. Aizawa Shota stood on the podium with bloodshot eyes. Today is going to be a rescue training in the event of natural disasters, floods and other accidents. Hearing this news, the following began to riot again. Some people are feeling overwhelmed, while others are getting more and more excited. Hey, I haven't finished my words yet. You can choose the clothes you want this time at your own discretion. After all, there should be some clothes that are limited to specific events. Aizawa Shota patted the table lightly, and only a little bit below. Be quiet. The training volume is a little far away from here. I will take the bus and go there in a while. Above, everyone starts to prepare. Oh, chapter 019. The crisis is coming advertisement. Hey, what are you wearing? Yaoyorozu Momo approached Uchiha Madara after Aizawa Shota left and asked. Just the one I had before. Uchiha Madara walked to his own box and took out the ninja suit. Ah, but this time it's rescue training. Is it convenient for you to wear it like this? Yaoyorozu Momo blinked. What are you wearing? Uchiha Madara turned around and asked without answering. My original set. Yaoyorozu Momo said without even thinking about it. That's fine. Uchiha Madara put his clothes on his shoulders with a flick of his hand, and smiled lightly. I'll go to the dressing room to change first. See you later. Kindness. The destination of Class A's trip is another simulated practice field of Shangying Academy, which covers a huge area, even bigger than the admission test field. They were greeted by an astronaut in a spacesuit, which gave a cool feeling invisibly. Space Hero, S. Number 13, a very gentleman hero, S, who performed extremely well at the disaster relief scene. Classmates, we've been waiting for you for a long time, let's hurry in. After finishing speaking, Number 13 raised his left hand and turned his side slightly. His tone was quite polite, many times better than Aizawa Shota. Please. Except for Uchiha Madara, all Class A bowed 90 degrees to express their admiration and respect for Number 13. Number 13 had also noticed Uchiha Madara's actions, but he didn't care. Instead, he greeted everyone enthusiastically and brought them to the practice ground. This is an exercise field created by me with all accidents and disasters in mind. Station Number 13 explained to the crowd at the front. Its name is Simulated Disaster Accident Field, abbreviated as USJ. Advertisement, various requests, Number 13, what about All Might? Didn't we say we wanted to meet here? Aizawa Shota walked forward at some point and stood side by side with Number 13. Senior, this. Number 13 leaned a little closer and said in a low voice, it seems that he used his abilities to the limit of his activities on the way to work, and is now resting in the lounge. Hey, this is too unreasonable, isn't it? Aizawa Shota put his hands in his trouser pockets with a look of contempt. However, this is also a precaution in case. As far as this course is concerned, there is not much difference between him and him. No way, let's start. Aizawa Shota sighed inwardly, then stepped aside, leaving the stage for Number 13. As you can see, my quirks are black holes, and this quirks can easily suck in and destroy the hardest diamonds in the world. Can you imagine, in this world, how many people are harder than diamonds? We're hero, S. The purpose is to arrest villains, not kill villains, so, as a last resort, I will not use quirks. I think among the classmates, some people's quirks are like this, right? You can easily destroy a person. Actually, our superhuman society is, at first glance, established through the use of quirks and the strict control over qualifications. However, as long as we take a wrong step, we can easily kill people. Therefore, we must learn to control our quirks and never make wrong decisions due to impulsive impulses. Please keep this in mind. Of course, through Aizawa Sensei's physical fitness test, everyone already knows the possibilities contained in their own strength. And through All Might's combat training, I also experienced how dangerous my own power is when dealing with others. In this class, I want you to transform your hearts and learn how to use your quirks to save people, not hurt them. Your power exists to save others, and I hope you will realize this after this class. Advertisement, the above, thank you for listening. Number 13 finished speaking and bowed slightly to everyone, showing his gentlemanly demeanor. Various requests, okay, then first. Just as Aizawa Shota took a few steps forward and was about to say something, the streetlights and wall lights in the entire building suddenly went out, and the surrounding magnetic field became extremely unstable. Aizawa Shota's pupils contracted slightly, and years of combat experience told him that there would be danger at any time here. Brush, ahead, a dangerous purple portal appeared out of thin air, and a few seconds later, a pale man with severed hands stuck to his face and body walked out of it, his eyes full of madness. All gather together, don't move. Number 13, you protect the students. Aizawa Shota stepped forward and blocked the students behind him. Ahead, more and more figures came out of the portal, as if endless. Is it the same way as in the entrance exam, where you don't remind you to start the routine? Kirishima Ejiro put a hand on his eyebrows, not feeling nervous at all. Don't move. Aizawa Shota's roar froze the students who were about to come forward. Those are villains. What? Villains? Hearing Aizawa Shota's words, everyone was a little frightened, although they came to Shangying Academy with the goal of professional hero, S. The problem is that now they're just students, and they are still far from professional heroes. It's on. Moreover, as freshmen, it can be said that they basically have no combat experience. If they encounter villains with a little strength, I am afraid there is only a dead end.
And the villains in front of me are not just one, but a group. Asterisk.
Chapter 020. League of Villains Invasion Advertisement. In the portal, all kinds of people walked out. At this moment, they are approaching the students step by step. Are they stupid? It's stupid to sneak into the Heroic Academy. A drop of cold sweat dripped from Kirishima Eijiro's forehead. Heroes Academy is a gathering place for professional heroes. They break in like this, aren't they afraid that professional heroes will smash them into flesh? Teacher, where is the censor that notified the intruder? Yaoyorozu Momo seemed to have thought of something, pushed to the front and asked. I don't know if they only appeared here or the whole school, but anyway, since the censor doesn't respond, it means that some of them should have quirks in this regard. Shoto Todoroki analyzed. This should be an extremely well-planned enemy attack for some purpose. On the 13th, start evacuation and try to contact the school. Those villains have taken into account the countermeasures for the paralysis sensor. It may be that the guys from the radio system are interfering. Putting on the goggles, he said without looking back. Kaminari, try to contact with your quirks. Uchiha, come here. Huh? Hearing Aizawa Shota calling himself, Uchiha Madara was stunned for a moment, then reacted and took a few steps forward. Your quirks are hypnosis, so what is the limit of hypnosis? Aizawa Shota stared at the approaching crowd in front of him, his tone a little hurried. How much do you need? Huh? Uchiha Madara's unreasonable rhetorical question made Aizawa Shota stunned for a second. Don't tell me, you don't know where your limits are. It's not. In Yaoyorozu Momo's worried eyes, Uchiha Madara walked slowly to Aizawa Shota's side and stood still. If you want, I can hypnosis them all. What about the side effects? The powerful quirks will have some side effects to some extent. Although Uchiha Madara's report stated that there is no side effect, Aizawa Shota still thinks it's safer to ask for it himself. Various requests, none. Advertisement. Okay, get them all hypnosis. The moment Aizawa Shota's voice fell, Uchiha Madara's eyes had undergone an earth-shaking transformation. The original dark pupils had disappeared, and the rest was scarlet. At the forefront, as the commander of this battle, Tamura Shigaraki noticed Uchiha Madara the moment he appeared. Red eyes. Tamura Shigaraki bent slightly. His quirks are the same as erasers, right? But it doesn't matter, even if it is eliminated, these cute soldiers will have enough for them to drink a pot. Tamura Shigaraki said to himself as if he was asking himself. Is there no one left in Shangying, but let the children fight? The soldiers below stared straight at Uchiha Madara, the corners of their mouths grinning. It is just right to use this child to open a knife and rub Shangying's spirit. Teacher, is this really okay? At the back, Izuku Midori looked worried. This is not in compliance with the rules, and Uchiha-san. After all, as students, they can't use their quirks to fight at will until they get the hero's license. It doesn't matter. Ahead, Uchiha Madara interrupted Green Valley Izuku's words. The corners of his mouth curled slightly, and the 3 black hooks in his eyes slowly turned. In the next second, time seemed to suddenly stagnate, and everyone below stopped moving, standing in place like puppets, motionless. There are many mediums through which the illusion can be performed. Sharingan is just one of them. What Uchiha Madara is doing now is just infusing his chakra into their bodies to disrupt their perception. Uchiha Madara raised her head slightly, turned her gaze to Tamura Shigaraki, who was at the forefront, and showed a meaningful smile. Apparently, Uchiha Madara did not pull Tamura Shigaraki into the illusion. Tamura Shigaraki himself and Kurogiri next to him also noticed the situation. Various requests, advertisement. Okay, amazing. Kirishima Eijiro couldn't help but exclaimed when he saw the magnificent scene below. Hypnosis so many people all at once. Uchiha, good job. Aizawa Shota chuckled lightly, then jumped into the middle of the crowd with his feet, and tied them up one by one with great speed. Sure enough, as All Might said before, in actual combat, the role of hypnosis should not be underestimated. Watching the villains decrease one by one, Aizawa Shota's originally dangling heart was also relieved. That red-eyed guy is trouble. Seeing that the soldiers were cleared one by Aizawa Shota, Tamura Shigaraki looked a little irritable and kept grabbing his neck. Then get him first? Kurogiri asked. Catch him and live. Learn. Boy, it looks like you have to come with us. Kurogiri, who had been staying beside Tamura Shigaraki, appeared behind Uchiha Madara at some point and pulled him directly into the portal. Varied, Green Valley Izuku, Bakugo Katsuki, Iida Ida and even number 13 didn't react at all, and could only watch Uchiha Madara disappear in front of their eyes. Yaoyorozu Momo took a few steps forward, almost shouting, Teacher Aizawa, Madara he. What? Aizawa Shota, who had just finished the last soldier, turned around with a solemn expression, and his expression changed slightly when he saw that Uchiha Madara had disappeared for some time. It took only a second for Kurogiri to go from arrival to departure, so Aizawa Shota guessed that their target was Uchiha Madara, and they had it. Aizawa-sensei, what should I do? Uraraka Ochako clenched his fists tightly, looking bewildered. Be sure to get him back. Aizawa Shota frowned. Anyway, he's my student too. Asterisk. Chapter 021. I am so disappointed. Advertisement. At this moment, Uchiha Madara has come to Tamura Shigaraki's side. Tamura Shigaraki has been staring straight ahead, and said without looking back, your quirks are very interesting, but it seems that your teacher did not take protective measures. Tamura Shigaraki looked at Uchiha Madara, and then at the tall, bare-brained man beside him. You don't expect to be able to escape from here. As long as you move a little bit, Nomu will tear you to shreds in no time. I said, don't you think it's boring? Uchiha Madara found a comfortable position to sit cross-legged, with one hand on his chin. Huh? Tamura Shigaraki looked at Uchiha Madara sideways, because at the moment Kurogiri was dealing with the students and teachers of Shangyin Academy, and there was Nomu beside him, so he was not worried about the danger. It's just that, under normal circumstances, if you are kidnapped or in danger, shouldn't you panic or be overwhelmed? Why this guy? Tamura Shigaraki looked at Uchiha Madara with a laid-back face and squinted slightly. Why does it look more and more like a vacation? It's really getting worse and worse. Nomu, kill him. Tamura Shigaraki looked straight ahead and said without looking back. After receiving the order, Nomu on the side immediately took action, came to Uchiha Madara's side in 3 or 2 steps, stretched out his right hand, and seemed to want to catch Uchiha Madara. Brush, bang. Uchiha Madara was still sitting leisurely and unmoved, but there was a blue skeleton around her. Advertisement Nomu, on the other hand, kept trying to catch Uchiha Madara, but was unsuccessful. Seeing this, Tamura Shigaraki's pupils narrowed slightly. Don't his quirks restrict the movement of others? What the hell is this blue thing on him? Various requests. Hey, don't you think this is really boring? Uchiha Madara's voice echoed in Tamura Shigaraki's ears. He turned his head slowly, and the guyu in his eyes had been linked together for some time. Ka. On the blue skeleton, a huge skeleton hand appeared out of thin air, followed by muscles and blood vessels, and finally formed a complete giant hand. Bang. Uchiha Madara's thoughts moved, and Nomu was directly fanned by the giant hand, leaving a huge pit in the ground. You did it on purpose? Tamura Shigaraki finally reacted at this moment. Uchiha Madara was caught by them on purpose. Maybe, the eraser or the order of the 13th. Let a student take risks. Huh, hero, is nothing more than that. Tamura Shigaraki turned to face Uchiha Madara. Just you, want to be hero, I came here, and it has nothing to do with Aizawa Shota and the others. Uchiha Madara stood up, and the blue skeleton that wrapped him moved with him, protecting him all the time. I'm really not interested in these little things like playing a house. Uchiha Madara narrowed his eyes slightly, but seriously, I've been here for so long, and I haven't participated in a real sense. Battle. To be honest, I feel a little bored and panicked. Uchiha Madara still focused on Tamura Shigaraki regardless of Nomu, who was getting closer and closer. Don't you have any decent people in League of Villains? Advertisement, League of Villains. Tamura Shigaraki bent down slightly. I never said the name of our organization. How did you know? Bang. Tamura Shigaraki finished speaking, and Nomu punched Uchiha Madara again, but it was still useless. Is this the strongest combat power you brought today? Uchiha Madara's thoughts moved, and another punch knocked Nomu out. I'm so disappointed. Various requests, on the other hand, because of the intervention of Kurogiri and the assistance of the portal, it was difficult for Aizawa Shota and number 13 to send the students out for a while. Bakugo Katsuki's impulsive personality coupled with Kirishima Eijiro's assist, the two suddenly interrupted the rhythm of Aizawa Shota and number 13, which also caused the students to be completely scattered and disappeared for a while. This is trouble. Taking advantage of Kurogiri's body to dissipate, Aizawa Shota looked in the direction of Uchiha Madara from the corner of his eye. At the same time, he also saw the scene where Nomu was punched by an unknown object on Uchiha Madara's body. What's the matter? Aizawa Shota frowned slightly, with a dignified and puzzled face. Isn't his quirks hypnosis? So disappointed in you? Tamura Shigaraki laughed angrily. A little bit of strength is too crazy. I'm afraid you won't even know how you died after a while. After speaking, Tamura Shigaraki rushed forward like crazy, and his body even looked a little twisted because of the extreme madness. Whoosh! Just when Tamura Shigaraki was about to touch Uchiha Madara, the figure of Uchiha Madara suddenly disappeared and appeared behind Tamura Shigaraki. Uchiha Madara took a dagger out of nowhere, put it on Tamura Shigaraki's waist, and said coldly, I said, League of Villains, I'm so disappointed. Asterisk. Chapter 022. Tamura Shigaraki is messy advertisement. Tamura Shigaraki was about to turn around, but he felt the cold touch on his waist, and he hurriedly stopped. What the hell are your quirks? Didn't you investigate the students' quirks before you invaded? Uchiha Madara snorted coldly. Aren't you too confident in your own strength? Who the hell are you? Tamura Shigaraki's eyes were full of ferocity. Just this calmness is not something a student would have. Could it be that he was an undercover agent sent by some unknown organization? The more Tamura Shigaraki thought about it, the more likely it was. Our goal today is only All Might. Tamura Shigaraki lowered his head and said in a low voice, don't you care about the lives of those students? Your quirks are strong, I admit it, but what about the others? Tamura Shigaraki gave a malicious smile. Now, as long as I give an order, Nomu will kill them immediately. Nomu is not your opponent, but that doesn't mean Nomu is not someone else's opponent. Tamura Shigaraki's words concealed a smile, looking like he was winning. Oh, I really don't care if they live or die. Uchiha Madara let go of Tamura Shigaraki and played with the dagger in his hand, but they can't die now. This is the weapon I use against All Might. His defense is hard to break even for All Might. Tamura Shigaraki took a few steps back and distanced himself from Uchiha Madara, his eyes full of confidence. I know he can absorb shocks, but wasn't he just kicked away by me? The corner of Uchiha Madara's mouth rose slightly, and the blue skeleton that originally wrapped his body gradually disappeared. Hey, it seems that he can't maintain this state for too long. Tamura Shigaraki silently made self-righteous guesses in his heart. It's now, Tamura Shigaraki made countless predictions in his mind, and then saw the opportunity and rushed forward with his feet. Because in Tamura Shigaraki's view, Uchiha Madara's ability to moment teleportation is entirely due to the existence of a blue skeleton. Advertisement: now that the blue skeleton is gone, he cannot teleport. Various requests, however, to Tamura Shigaraki's surprise, just when he thought he was winning and was about to touch Uchiha Madara suddenly disappeared without a trace. Huh? Tamura Shigaraki almost fell and ate shit when he missed, but he didn't care about that, and looked at the place where Uchiha Madara was standing in shock.
Can you teleport without the blue skeleton? Could it be that his quirks are teleportation?
But he clearly incapacitated so many people just now, and his quirks obviously couldn't be teleportation. But if his quirks aren't teleportation, what are?
Tamura Shigaraki was messed up. At the exit of USJ, Kurogiri and a large number of criminals were at a standoff with Aizawa Shota and number 13, and they stayed where they were. Fortunately, Ida was the only one who was not sent away by Kurogiri.
Ida's quirks are the engine, and this quirks can give him a super high speed for a moment, which is also the only means he relies on to break through the gate and report to the hero. Therefore, in such a situation, he absolutely cannot be teleported away. Iida, when we break up Kurogiri later, you take the opportunity to rush out. Aizawa Shota stood in front, struggling to eliminate the criminals pouring in from the portal, and said without looking back. Understood. Iida gritted her teeth, her body was shaking slightly because she was too nervous. Advertisement. Roar. Suddenly, an unidentified creature with a burly stature and a naked brain rushed into the center of the battlefield in 2s and 3s, directly skipping Ida, and pointed at Aizawa Shota and number 13, with a very fast speed. Teacher, be careful. Although I didn't know what the unknown creature that suddenly appeared in front of me was, Ida instinctively felt that this guy was a rather terrifying existence. Huh? Hearing Ida's words, Aizawa Shota turned his head subconsciously, wanting to check the situation. However, the moment he turned his head, a huge hand kept expanding in front of his eyes, and in a blink of an eye, his entire head was submerged in it. Various requests, at the same time, Uchiha Madara also came to where Aizawa Shota, number 13 and Ida were, just to see the scene where Aizawa Shota was caught by Nomu. Tisk. Uchiha Madara smacked his lips, and his figure disappeared instantly. When he reappeared, he had brought Aizawa Shota to Ida's side. Puff, ahead, Nomu's right hand snapped, and a large amount of bright red blood spurted out, dyeing the ground red. Uchiha. Seeing the person coming, Ida looked delighted. Are you all right? Didn't you get caught? You're not. After Kurogiri, who was not far away, saw who was coming, his heart skipped a beat, and he hurriedly looked at where Tamura Shigaraki was. Seeing Tamura Shigaraki still on the high platform and safe and sound, Kurogiri breathed a sigh of relief and filled his heart with doubts. Tamura Shigaraki seems to be fine, and the kid is safe and sound. What happened in the middle? But now, solving the immediate troubles is the first priority, and it seems that all this can only be asked in detail after the battle is over with Tamura Shigaraki. Asterisk. Chapter 023. Fighting Nomu Advertisement. Uchiha, your speed. Aizawa Shota, who was rescued by Uchiha Madara, narrowed his eyes slightly. What's up with your speed? Also, how did you escape? As a seasoned professional hero, Aizawa Shota is well informed, but he has never seen a quirks who has nothing to do with speed, but can run so fast. And before, Aizawa Shota also saw the blue skeleton on Uchiha Madara. At this moment, there are too many doubts in his heart. Fix the troubles in front of me first, and let's talk about other things later. Uchiha Madara turned his eyes to Kurogiri and Nomu, with a faint excitement in his heart. Finally got a fight. By the way, what about the others? Uchiha Madara said without looking back, watching Kurogiri and Nomu's every move. I was teleported away, I don't know where to go, Aizawa Shota replied. That should be fine, but I'm afraid something will happen to Midori Izuku. Uchiha Madara remembers that in the original book, Asui Tsuyu and Minoru Mineta were teleported away with Midori Izuku. And because of his own intervention, Minoru Mineta was sent to Class B of course. Without Minoru Mineta, I wonder if they could beat villains under the flood. Boy, although I don't know what happened to you in the Dead Handle Wood, but since you're here, just stay. Kurogiri's voice pulled Uchiha Madara into reality. He raised his head, his eyes were scarlet, and the 3 black hook jades slowly rotated, then try it. While speaking, new flesh and blood began to appear from Nomu's broken arm in front of him, but in the blink of an eye, his arm was restored to its original state. Don't be impulsive. Aizawa Shota grabbed Uchiha Madara's shoulders and pulled him behind him. Let the professional hero, do things like battle. You find the opportunity to leave here with Iida and find someone to support us. Various requests, it's this time, don't worry about it so much. Uchiha Madara took a few steps forward and stood side by side with Aizawa Shota. Do you have any decent weapons? Back off. Aizawa Shota's tone suddenly became severe. Your task now is to find a way to get out of here. Advertisement, don't forget that you are the hero, of the secret department. In terms of power, you are not his opponent. Uchiha Madara squeezed his fist. Since there is no decent weapon, then I will use it with my bare hands. If you insist on separate classes, isn't your quirk's hypnosis also a secret class? Aizawa Shota retorted. Hearing the conversation between the two, number 13, who was dealing with the criminal in front of him, was a little speechless. Isn't this the time to talk about this? I'll take care of the guy with the exposed brain first. As soon as Uchiha Madara finished speaking, the whole person suddenly burst out and went straight to Nomu. Hey. Aizawa Shoda just wanted to stop Uchiha Madara, but found that Uchiha Madara's speed suddenly increased, and he came to Nomu almost in the blink of an eye. Hey, these are definitely composite quirks, right? Aizawa Shoda's mouth twitched slightly. In that case, Ida-san, remember to find the right time. Ming, I understand. Ida stared blankly at the back of Uchiha Madara, and took a long time to react. Bang! On the wide platform, Uchiha Madara punched Nomu in the belly, but Nomu remained motionless and took no damage. In that case, Uchiha Madara squinted slightly, condensed chakra in secret, and punched again with almost no gaps. Boom! Uchiha Madara's fist and Nomu's fist collided fiercely, and with the feet of Uchiha Madara and Nomu as the center, there was a wave of air around. Different from the punch just now, this time, Nomu was directly knocked out and smashed heavily on the flower stand in the distance, his body dented. Various requests, it was exactly what I thought. Uchiha Madara stood on the spot and slowly retracted his fist, the corners of his mouth raised slightly. Nomu can absorb shock, but chakra can't be absorbed. Kurogiri, who was fighting Aizawa Shoda and number 13, looked at the situation on Uchiha Madara's side distractedly and felt a chill in his heart. Nomu was actually beaten up? Advertisement, this guy is so powerful? Or, this guy is stronger than All Might. You know, Nomu was created specifically to deal with All Might. This is not scientific at all. Currently the closest to Uchiha Madara is the flooded area, which is where Izuku and the others are at the moment. Through Sharingan, Uchiha Madara could clearly see what happened in the flooded area, and Izuku Midori and Asui Tsuyu were clearly at a disadvantage and struggled a bit. Green Valley Izuku, in particular, hardly dared to use quirks, and kept hiding on the boat, just like the rhythm of being hanged and beaten by criminals. I can't let you hang up now. Uchiha Madara narrowed her eyes as she looked at the embarrassed figure of Izuku Green Valley. Before the system repair is completed, Uchiha Madara's biggest cheat can be said to be the control of the plot. If the protagonist hangs here, everything will definitely change. Although it won't affect Uchiha Madara too much, it won't be fun if you do. Roar. Not far away, Nomu kept uttering a low roar, then stood up abruptly and threw the rubble from his body. Bang. The next second, Nomu exerted force under his feet and rushed towards Uchiha Madara. Under the reaction of the huge force, the ground was pulled up into small pits. Uchiha Madara squinted at Nomu, bent down slowly, picked up a few rubble, aimed at Nomu's brain, and ejected it. Puff, 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 Chapter 024, Don't You Take Action? Advertisement 3 stones went straight through Nomu's brain, the brain spattered, and a bloody smell filled the air. You, Uchiha-san. Seeing such a scene, Ida on the side was so frightened that her legs went weak and she almost vomited. He had never seen such a bloody scene. This, Kurogiri, who was confronting Aizawa Shoda and number 13, was also stunned. Nomu, which they worked so hard to develop, was just killed. What happened to this guy named Uchiha? The brain was damaged, and Nomu naturally lost his ability to move. He lost his center of gravity and fell to the ground softly, motionless. Aizawa-sensei, number 13-sensei, can you handle Kurogiri? Uchiha Madara looked at Nomu, who fell to the ground, a little disappointed. I thought it would be able to resist the fight, but I didn't expect it to be a crispy skin. He can't even hide from the stone, how useless is he? Uchiha Madara didn't know that the reason why Nomu couldn't dodge his stone was because Uchiha Madara's speed was too fast for Nomu's brain to react at all. Ah, it's not a big problem. Aizawa Shoda didn't want to worry about Uchiha Madara's quirks for the time being. The most important thing now is to find a way to get the villains in front of him. After all, the safety of students is the most important thing. Uchiha Madara nodded lightly, and her figure disappeared instantly. Then I'll go to the flood area to help first. In the flood-stricken area, Green Valley Izuku looked at the criminals of all shapes and sizes below with a solemn expression. So far, Green Valley Izuku has not been able to control his quirks very well. Once used, it will cause huge damage to himself. On the ship, Green Valley Izuku considered countless possibilities, but there was only one chance, and he had to take it seriously. Advertisement only he and Asui Tsuyu were sent here, and there were more than a dozen criminals below, and the pros and cons can be imagined. Various requests, they don't come down for a long time, or just shoot them down. A criminal who looks like a ray below said impatiently. The other criminal shook his head. Did you forget what Mr. Deadwood told us? Find out their quirks first. Behind the criminals, Uchiha Madara walked leisurely on the water and crouched down behind one of the criminals. I said, how long have you been stalemate like this? On the ship, Midori Izuku and Asui Tsuyu looked like hell, staring at the soles of Uchiha Madara's shoes in front of them without blinking. Standing on the water? How did he do that? It's not too long, it's just 10 minutes, the criminal replied, and then he felt as if something was wrong, and turned around abruptly. When he saw Uchiha Madara standing on the water out of thin air, he also had a ghostly expression and his eyes were wide open. Ah! In the next second, the criminal exclaimed, and the water surface became turbulent. A huge palm made of water stretched out from the water, facing Uchiha Madara, and pressed hard. Crash! The waves were everywhere, and the formation of the criminals was destroyed. One by one, they were all staggered, their eyes were full of gold stars, and they couldn't find the north. Damn it, didn't you take medicine when you went out? Who? Someone was standing on the water just now. The criminal who attacked before kept looking for Uchiha Madara's figure. Standing on the water. Hearing this, the other criminals frowned slightly, but then relieved. It's just standing on the water, not some great quirks, don't worry. Advertisement. Since their eyes were always on Izuku Midori and Asui Suyu, they had no idea what was going on elsewhere. Well, with the comfort of his companions, the criminal was slightly relieved. Looking at his appearance, he should only be a student, so don't worry too much. Various requests. Are you sure you don't have to worry too much? Uchiha Madara did not know when to appear behind the criminals, arms crossed. Who? The criminal who was closest to Uchiha Madara turned around abruptly. After seeing who was coming, his pupils contracted slightly. Quickly kill him first. It's so annoying. Uchiha Madara grabbed the criminal in front of him by the neck, lifted him into the air, and squeezed slightly with one hand. Crack. The criminal struggled a few times in midair, and finally his limbs drooped down. He was dead and could no longer die. You, Uchiha-san. On the ship, Green Valley Izuku felt that his breathing was a little difficult. Uchiha Madara actually killed. Why did he kill someone and act like nothing happened? At this moment, Green Valley Izuku and Asui Suyu suddenly realized that the Uchiha Madara in front of them was so unfamiliar. The other criminals underwater were also stunned by Uchiha Madara's decisive killing, and they all froze in place for a while, and no one stepped forward. If this kind of situation happened to an adult, it would be acceptable, but the problem now is that the person who kills people without blinking is a teenage child. This is terrifying. Aren't you going to take action? Uchiha Madara casually discarded the corpse in his hand and said with a blank face, if you don't take action, then I'll be welcome. Asterisk. Chapter 025. Destroyed in the flooded area advertisement. Let's go together. He's just a kid with no hair. What's he afraid of? In the crowd, not only someone roared, the rest of the criminals swarmed up, and the quirks came out. The quirks of the villains that Uchiha Madara, Midori Izuku, and Asui Suyu face all belong to the water system, so the moment the quirks are activated, the water surface is choppy. The ship swayed left and right, and Izuku Green Valley had to hold onto the fence and raised his head with difficulty. Student Uchiha, listen to me. I have a battle plan. There is no need for a battle plan. Uchiha Madara tapped lightly and stood in front of Izuku Midori and Asui Suyu. You just need to watch from behind. Uchiha classmate. Green Valley Izuku shouted loudly, looking at Uchiha Madara's back, with a worried look on his face. You can't kill them. Uchiha Madara turned slightly sideways. If you don't kill them, they will kill you. Then what's the difference between you and a criminal? Izuku Green Valley pulled the fence of the ship tightly and roared with his eyes closed. Aren't you coming to Shongying Academy to become a professional hero? Too naive. Do you think the outside world is beautiful? Uchiha Madara took out the dagger from before and played with it. Could it be that Uchiha-san has been to the outside world? Green Valley Izuku's voice was hoarse because he tried too hard. If hero kills people at will, wouldn't the world be in chaos? I'm not a hero. Izuku Green Valley was speechless for a long time when Uchiha Madara's words directly attacked him. And your concept is too pedantic. Do you think that if you don't kill people, the crime rate will drop? While speaking, Uchiha Madara exerted force on his wrist and threw the dagger out of his hand. Puff. The dagger hit the heart of a criminal in front of him accurately. The water was dyed red, and his life was ended by Uchiha Madara in an instant. Green Valley Izuku's pupils shrank suddenly. Various requests. If you don't act ruthlessly, how can you deter them? The three-hooked jade in Uchiha Madara's eyes were connected together, and the chakra in his body skyrocketed. Advertisement. Brush. A layer of blue skeleton suddenly appeared around Uchiha Madara, and the volume began to balloon at a speed visible to the naked eye. Hands, muscles, skins, weapons are stacked one by one, but within a few seconds, the huge Susanoo will appear in front of everyone. Although only the upper body, Haki still leaked, giving a faint sense of oppression. What is this? What's the matter? Isn't his quirks standing on the water? If you can't beat it, retreat. But Mr. Shijamu's sighed. Boom. Before the criminals could finish speaking, under the control of Uchiha Madara, one of Susanoo's arms slammed down, setting off a huge wave. At the moment when the criminals were washed up by the waves, Susanoo grabbed them and ended their lives without hesitation. The originally blue water surface was stained red with blood, and the smell of blood in the air was so pungent that Izuku and Asui Suyu couldn't stand such a bloody scene, and couldn't help retching aside. Let's retreat. On the high platform, Tamura Shigaraki looked in the direction of the flooded area and kept grabbing his neck. Retreat. Kurogiri, who had returned to Tamura Shigaraki's side, was a little surprised. You know, Tamura Shigaraki was not the one who retreated lightly. I can teleport him to another place, and then we will take the opportunity to get these children. Hey, get the kid? Tamura Shigaraki squinted at Kurogiri with red bloodshot eyes. Don't forget that our goal this time is All Might. Do you want to send him somewhere else to tip off the hero? Advertisement. We are not his opponents, at least not for now. Tamura Shigaraki grabbed his neck harder and harder, and red bloodstains appeared on it, shocking. All Might isn't here. It's useless for us to stay here, and Nomu is gone. I understand. After a while of silence, Kurogiri nodded slightly and sighed inwardly. These miscellaneous soldiers stay here, don't worry about them. Understood. After Kurogiri finished speaking, a purple portal appeared in front of the two of them out of thin air, submerging their bodies into it. Various requests. In the flooded area, the criminals have all been cleaned up, and the scene is in a mess. Green Valley Izuku and Asui Suyu held onto the railing with one hand, and it took a long time to recover. Uchiha Madara stood firmly on the water, and Susanoo, who had surrounded her body, slowly disappeared, as if it had never existed. Because of Tamura Shigaraki's departure, the criminals left at the scene were in an instant chaos, and it didn't take long for them to be subdued. At the gate, after Aizawa Shota tied the last criminal in front of him, he took off his glasses and let out a long sigh of relief. Senior Aizawa. Beside Aizawa Shota, number 13 raised his hand tremblingly and pointed in the direction of the flooded area. There seems to be an accident in the flooded area. Huh? Hearing No 13's words, Aizawa Shota, who had been relaxed, suddenly became nervous again and hurriedly looked in the direction of the flooded area. There, a scarlet. Uchiha said before that he went to the flooded area to help. Aizawa Shota put on his glasses again and ran quickly towards the flooded area. But don't let it happen. Asterisk chapter 026. Aizawa's doubt. Advertisement. You, Uchiha-kun. Let's go to another place to have a look. After a long silence, Izuku Green Valley finally summoned up the courage to step forward and speak. It's over. Uchiha Madara stepped on the water and walked forward step by step. Let's go back. In the back, Izuku Midori and Asui Tsuyu looked at each other, then walked to the periphery of the railing together, looked at the scarlet blood below, closed their eyes and jumped down. And Aizawa Shota, who just arrived here, happened to see Uchiha Madara walking on the water, and Izuku Green Valley and Asui Tsuyu swimming free behind. Aizawa Shota couldn't help but stop and stared at the soles of Uchiha Madara's feet, without looking away for a long time. How can you walk on the water? Aizawa Shota was stunned for a long time before he could react. Where's the villains? The second after the words were spoken, Aizawa Shota suddenly had a terrible guess in his heart. He stared intently at the bloody water in front of him, his expression solemn. Uchiha-san. Where's villains? Aizawa Shota slowly raised his head and looked directly into Uchiha Madara's scarlet eyes. Dead. Uchiha Madara closed his eyes gently, and when he opened it again, it had returned to its original black color. Uchiha Madara took a few steps forward and came to stand on the shore. Only then did Aizawa Shota smell the strong smell of blood on his body. You killed them? Because of the blocking of glasses and the lack of Sharingan, Uchiha Madara at the moment does not know what Aizawa Shota's expression is. But it doesn't matter what it is, everything has happened anyway, and it can't be changed. And, for what he did, Uchiha Madara had no regrets. Various requests, behind Uchiha Madara, Green Valley Izuku and Asui Tsuyu struggled to climb ashore, looking at Uchiha Madara with erratic eyes, a little weird. A few minutes later, number 13 in a spacesuit came to the flooded area and looked at Aizawa Shota. All communication equipment has been restored, and the police and rescue teams will be here soon. How are the students? Aizawa Shota said without looking back, his eyes fixed on Uchiha Madara. Advertisement, mostly it's fine. That's good. Aizawa Shota breathed a sigh of relief, but he still didn't take his eyes off Uchiha Madara's body. On the 13th, the students will be handed over to you. Uchiha classmate, come with me. Understood. Although he didn't know why Aizawa Shota was looking for Uchiha Madara, number 13 instinctively obeyed his senior's orders. Regarding Aizawa Shota's request, Uchiha Madara neither resisted nor protested, but followed Aizawa Shota obediently like a good student. After going all the way, Aizawa Shota and Uchiha Madara came to a dilapidated place that resembled a training ground. Aizawa Shota stopped here and stood in front of him without saying a word for a long time. 10 minutes passed, Aizawa Shota still didn't say a word. Uchiha Madara couldn't bear it any longer, and said first, if there's nothing else, I'll go first. So impatient? Aizawa Shota said slightly sideways, it's only been 10 minutes until now. In 10 minutes, you can do a lot of things. Uchiha Madara narrowed his eyes slightly, he could feel a faint killing intent on Aizawa Shota's body. And this killing intent was directed at him. Whoosh. Without any warning, Aizawa Shota suddenly took a few steps back, and with a flick of his hands, the gray cloth around his neck suddenly walked towards Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara jumped into the air with both feet, brushed past the cloth strip, and then landed steadily on the platform not far away. Her eyes were scarlet. Various requests, a student can't have such skills. At this time, Aizawa Shota's eyes on Uchiha Madara were no longer the eyes of a teacher looking at students. There are exceptions to everything, aren't they? Uchiha Madara put his hands in his trouser pockets, without the slightest sense of tension. Maybe. Under the sunglasses, Aizawa Shota's eyes suddenly turned red. Human skills can be trained, but your alertness is beyond ordinary. Advertisement. The next second when his eyes turned red, Aizawa Shota suddenly dashed forward, trying to get closer to Uchiha Madara. No matter how good Uchiha Madara's skills are, he started training from the moment he was born, and the training time is at most 15 years. Aizawa Shota has the confidence to conquer him. Uchiha Madara lowered his center of gravity, and the three black-hooked jades slowly rotated in his eyes. In his eyes, Aizawa Shota's movements were slowed down countless times. At the moment of approaching Uchiha Madara, Aizawa Shota clenched his right fist and punched him at the vital point of his body. Uchiha Madara smiled lightly and grabbed his attacking wrist. It's really ruthless, Aizawa-sensei. Aizawa Shota narrowed his eyes slightly. The average person can't catch him a punch. As I said, there are exceptions to everything. Aizawa Shota didn't pay attention to what Uchiha Madara said, but turned around flexibly, used his strength, and punched him again. Just when the fist was about to focus on Uchiha Madara, a layer of blue skeleton suddenly wrapped his whole body. Bah! Aizawa Shota's fist made an intimate contact with Susanoo, making a muffled sound. Because of the reaction force, Aizawa Shota had to take a few steps back, and the shock in his heart could no longer be hidden. It was completely written on his face, and it was very exaggerated. How is that possible? Aizawa Shota stared at the blue skeleton on Uchiha Madara's body, unable to look away for a long time. He has already eliminated Uchiha Madara's quirks, why does the blue skeleton still appear? Is it possible that I have been hypnosis without knowing it? Thinking of this, Aizawa Shota suddenly raised his head, the shock in his eyes increased instead of diminished. Asterisk. Chapter 027. The blind thread advertisement. It stands to reason that even if the quirks eliminated by Aizawa Shota are hypnosis, they can wake up in a short time. Seeing the look in Aizawa Shota's eyes, Uchiha Madara could probably guess what he was thinking. Don't worry, you're not affected by hypnosis. What the hell is going on? Hearing Uchiha Madara's words, Aizawa Shota frowned slightly, still maintaining his vigilance. Who the hell are you? I know your doubts. Uchiha Madara closed his eyes slightly, the blue skeleton on his body dissipated, and at the same time, his pupils returned to their original black. What? Aizawa Shota narrowed his eyes slightly. Judging from the situation of the invasion just now, their target is All Might, and the other party obviously knows our class schedule and class location. Uchiha Madara said, holding out two fingers, then correspondingly, there are only two a possibility. First, the other party is hitting right, and the luck is bursting. Second, there are their people in Shongying Academy. Uchiha Madara smiled slightly. The first guess is obviously impossible, because in an unprepared battle, the odds of winning are almost infinitely close to zero, so a fool would choose this. However, Aizawa-sensei, I'm not the spy you thought. Uchiha Madara's eyes turned scarlet again. I think you should have understood from the situation just now, if I wanted to kill you, you would have died. And, if I'm theirs, why bother trying to save the students, and there's a massacre? That's because All Might happened to be not here today, and you didn't know it, in order to keep lurking, so you chose to sacrifice your companions to protect yourself. Aizawa Shota pulled down the strip of cloth on his shoulders, ready to attack. Aizawa-sensei, I said before, if I wanted to kill you, you would have already died. The three Guyu in Uchiha Madara's eyes suddenly joined together, forming a closed circle.
Since you don't believe it, come and try it yourself.
Advertisement, various requests. The moment his sight touched Uchiha Madara's eyes, Aizawa Shota suddenly felt the surrounding sky turn blood red, a kind of indescribable horror. In the sky, hung a blood-red moon. Welcome to my world. The figure of Uchiha Madara appeared in front of Aizawa Shota without warning, startling him. What is this place? Under the tremendous pressure, Aizawa Shota couldn't help but take a few steps back and saw Uchiha Madara's eyes change slightly. As I said just now, this is my world, and everything is under my control. Uchiha Madara opened her hands. No matter how long it has passed here, in the real world, it's just a moment. Remember the silt incident? Uchiha Madara's mouth curled slightly. Do you know how he went crazy? What have you done? I didn't do anything, just let him stay in a place where no one was there for a few days, which caused him some mental damage by the way. Even if you're not someone from the League of Villains, you're definitely not an ordinary person. Aizawa Shota has always kept a certain distance from Uchiha Madara. His nerves have been tense. Tell me, who are you? Come on Shongying for what purpose? Don't be so nervous. Okay. Uchiha Madara raised his hand and snapped his fingers, and two wooden chairs appeared behind him out of nowhere. Uchiha Madara sat on his lower body casually, but Aizawa Shota still stood there, unmoved. The reason why I came to Shongying is because of a promise with a person. Uchiha Madara crossed Erlang's legs and smiled slightly. I just came here to go to school, that's all. A promise with a person? Hearing Uchiha Madara's words, Aizawa Shota flashed countless familiar and unfamiliar faces in his mind, all of whom were professional heroes, or various high-level executives. Advertisement. Maybe Aizawa Shota couldn't think of it. That person, in Uchiha Madara's mouth is one of his students, Yayuro Uzumomo. Various requests, even so. Aizawa Shota took a deep breath. You just killed someone, you know. If you don't kill them, they will kill me. You, a teacher, don't understand this principle, right? Don't kill people at will. This is the rule of heroes, and you can obviously arrest them directly. Rules are meant to be broken. Uchiha Madara suddenly appeared in front of Aizawa Shota, grabbing his collar with one hand. I ask you, at the juncture of life and death, is your companion's life more important, or your bullshit rules? This society is like this. Heroes must be like heroes. Aizawa Shota glared at Uchiha Madara. What's the difference between you and a murderer? Aizawa Shota, I don't want to tell you this useless nonsense anymore. Uchiha Madara released Aizawa Shota. You can report what I did to the police, but only if. Uchiha Madara narrowed his eyes slightly. You and the world can afford the consequences of what you say. Uchiha Madara could see that the concept of Aizawa Shota was deeply ingrained and difficult to change for a while, so it was useless to say more. Are you threatening me? You can think so. Uchiha Madara looked up at the blood moon in the sky. Can you imagine what it would be like if the whole world was hypnosis by me? You. Aizawa Shota wouldn't be stupid enough to ask him outright if he could do it. He would rather believe it than not to mention that hundreds of people in hypnosis didn't feel any discomfort just now. Aizawa Shota believes that until he finds a way to deal with Uchiha Madara, even if he cannot hypnosis the whole world, a small army of hypnosis is more than enough. Asterisk. Chapter 028, The Incident Follow-Up Advertisement. Or, let me put it another way. Seeing Aizawa Shota's silence, Uchiha Madara spoke first. If a huge monster destroys the city recklessly, what will be the consequences? Aizawa Shota stared at Uchiha Madara's scarlet eyes, his face gloomy. Having been a professional hero, for so many years and seeing so many criminals, he could see that when Uchiha Madara said these words, he had enough confidence in his heart. And this confidence doesn't seem to be pretended. What do you want? Aizawa Shota knew from the brief fight just now that Uchiha Madara's strength is far superior to him, so now, compromise is the best choice. Once you get out of this hellish place, it's not too late to make a long-term plan. I don't want anything. Uchiha Madara shook his head gently. I just want to stay in Chongying, that's all. Because of that agreement? Correct answer. The corners of Uchiha Madara's mouth twitched slightly. If you don't tell me about my affairs, I will stay in school and make a deal. Okay. Aizawa Shota gently pulled the gray cloth on his body. I hope you don't cause Chongying another big trouble, otherwise no one will be able to protect you. I understand. The originally closed circle in Uchiha Madara's eyes gradually spread out and turned into 3 black guyu again. Then I'll leave it to you, Aizawa Sensei. Looking at the sky returning to normal, Aizawa Shota was silent for a long time, opened his lips slightly, and said, N. Uchiha Madara and Aizawa Shota spent a long time in the fantasy world, but in the real world it was just a blink of an eye. By the time Uchiha Madara returned to the USJ gate, the place was full of policemen, all armed. In addition to the police, there were also a large number of reporters who had traveled all the way to get the news from nowhere, and they were all excited, as if they were the ones who experienced this. Why did you go with Aizawa Sensei, and why are you here now? Seeing Uchiha Madara's figure, Yaoyorozu Momo was the first to ask. Advertisement, well, we talked about something, but it wasn't anything important. It's so mysterious, and it's not interesting. Yaoyorozu Momo grabbed Uchiha Madara's arm. The police are taking a statement, the whole class is missing you, come quickly. Kindness. Various requests, as a professional hero, it is natural to deal with the police. Although he doesn't like to show up, Aizawa Shota still has many friends in the police station. Coupled with the support of the principal and a large number of colleagues, the incident at Chongying Academy was suppressed a lot. Although the exposure of the incident was still high, few people knew what happened. In the afternoon, the reporters finally got the news they wanted and returned with a fruitful result, and the Chongying Academy was immediately clean. At 6:30 in the afternoon, the principal's office. At this moment, the place is full of high-level executives of the Heroic Academy, and each of them is a professional hero, with certain qualifications and powerful strength. Of course, the trio of Aizawa Shota, All Might and number 13 are also here. But in addition to their professional hero, in front of the office stood a young man in a suit and holding documents. Naomatsu Tsukachi, a professional police officer, is also one of the few people who knows the relationship between All Might and Izuku Green Valley, and can be said to be the most trusted police officer of All Might. At this moment, Naoto Tsukaguchi is holding the relevant information and part of the investigation results of this incident. According to the information you provided, we have compared them in the database, but we don't have their information. Tsukachi Naojung handed over the information in his hand to the principal. The Quirks report was not submitted, which is the so-called Black Household. In other words, do we know nothing about him at the moment? The principal took the information in Naojung Tsukachi's hand and nodded lightly, thank you. Well, if I have nothing to do, I'll go first. Naoto Tsukachi finished speaking, put the tip of his right finger on his temple, gave everyone a standard salute, and left the principal's office. Now we can talk about what happened. Aizawa Sensei. After seeing Naomasa Tsukachi leaving and confirming that there was no one around, the principal turned his attention to Aizawa Shota. Advertisement, various requests. The principal also asked some students in Class A before, but because most of them were teleported to other places, they didn't know why villains suddenly retreated. It can be said that the whole Class A knows the truth, only Aizawa Shota, number 13, Ida, Midori Izuku and Asui Suyu. In order to give the media an explanation, in desperation, Chongying Academy had to claim that the hero of this incident was All Might. As for why All Might became a teacher at Chongying Academy, this has always been a mystery, so much that Chongying Academy itself has not been announced. Do you remember the Silt incident 10 months ago? At this moment, Aizawa Shota's face no longer had the decadence of the past, replaced by an indescribable solemnity. Facing the crowd, Aizawa Shota rarely showed such an expression, so at this moment, everyone involuntarily became more serious. Remember, if I'm not mistaken, both victims of that incident were heroes, right? All Might chimed in. Uchiha Madara, 15 years old, orphan, with a large inheritance, quirks for hypnosis. Aizawa Shota got a folder out of nowhere to circulate. All the information I can find so far is here. What are you doing with this? All Might doesn't understand. What is Aizawa Shota doing to investigate a student? This time League of Villains retreated entirely because of him. Aizawa Shota crossed his fingers on his chin, and with another quirks. Hearing this news, All Might's hand holding the folder trembled slightly. Other quirks, what do you mean? Literally, I suspect his quirks are more than hypnosis. More than hypnosis? Hearing this, All Might's pupils contracted violently, and another figure emerged in his mind. The opposite of One for All. All for One. Asterisk Chapter 029, Heroic Sports Festival. Advertisement, wait, what did you just say? Other quirks? A masked, cowboy-dressed man said suspiciously, composite quirks? At first I thought that was the case, but after this incident, I don't think so at all. Aizawa Shota took out the photo taken when he was entering school at Vice Admiral Uchiha Madara in his pocket and handed it to the crowd. I suspect that he is the enemy. A spy sent by Fang. What's the purpose of concealing strength and coming to Chongying? The principal leaned back on the chair and lowered his head in thought. Just watch it for a while. All Might can let go of Aizawa Shota's words for a long time. During the days when Chongying was teaching, he also had contact with Uchiha Madara. Although Uchiha Madara treated people a little indifferently, he was generally good. But when it comes to the quirks, All Might is quite sensitive. The only person he knew so far who had more than one quirks and was very powerful was all for one. Could it be Uchiha Madara has something to do with him? When the teachers of Shongying Academy were discussing the issue of Uchiha Madara himself was walking leisurely with Yaoyorozu Momo on the way home. Today is really dangerous, but fortunately they retreated, otherwise, I can't imagine what would happen. Yaoyorozu Momo kept patting his chest with a look of shock on his face. It's all over, don't think about it so much. Uchiha Madara patted Yaoyorozu Momo's head lightly and said with a smile, tomorrow school is off, let's go play together? Hearing this, Yaoyorozu Momo put his hands on his hips, a little dissatisfied. You can still laugh when something like this happens? Your heart is really big. In the end, because Yaoyorozu Momo's parents stopped Uchiha Madara from going out to play with her. Advertisement inexplicable feeling a little pity. Various requests. After a day of rectification, the classes at Shongying Academy continued, but at this moment, the streets were full of reports on the invasion of the League of Villains a few days ago, so there are still many reporters guarding the gates of Shongying Academy. If it weren't for the security blocking and the strengthening of Shongying Academy's defense system, I'm afraid they would have rushed in long ago. Hey, did you watch the news? Today's TV is full of reports about us. After all, the Hero S branch, which is a professional Hero S, was attacked. If they hadn't retreated at that time, I really don't know what would have happened. Isn't the teacher here yet? If the teacher came at that time, they would definitely be able to blow them up. As soon as Uchiha Madara entered the classroom, he heard the voices of various discussions, and the discussions were quite intense. However, only Bakugo Katsuki noticed that the moment Uchiha Madara came in, the faces of Midori Izuku and Asui Tsuyu changed. This guy. Bakugo Katsuki stared straight at Uchiha Madara, not caring about Midori Izuku and Asui Tsuyu. He suddenly disappeared when the League of Villains invaded the other day, and to be honest, even Bakugo Katsuki was taken aback. But now that everyone is fine, everything will be fine. Everyone, be quiet. At this moment, Aizawa Shota suddenly appeared at the door of the classroom, and the whole person had returned to the decadence of the past. Seeing the arrival of Aizawa Shota, everyone hurriedly returned to their seats and sat down, and there was no noise in the classroom in an instant. Aizawa Shota nodded lightly, expressing satisfaction with the students' self-awareness. Hyunai Sports Festival is coming soon. Advertisement, various requests. Wait, we've just been invaded by villains, and suddenly we have a sports festival or something. Is it really okay? If I'm attacked again? Everyone has their own opinions on the sports festival, but the voices of doubt and opposition are stronger. After all, they just experienced that terrible thing, and they don't want to meet again. The school seems to want to show the outside world how indestructible Shongying's crisis management system is by holding a sports festival. I heard that the security force this time will also be strengthened to 5 times that of previous years, and the most important thing is that the sports festival of Shongying is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. How could it be suspended because of the mere villains? Our school's sports festival is one of Neon's large-scale events. In the past, the Olympics were called sports festivals, which made the whole country go crazy. And now, as we all know, it's shrinking in size and numbers of entries, and it's dead in name only. In today's Neon, what replaced the original Olympic status is the Heroic Sports Festival. Hearing Aizawa Shota's remarks, everyone was eager to try it, because at that time, for the purpose of discovering talents, top Hero S from all over the country will come to watch. And after obtaining the Hero S license, it is a fixed routine to join the professional Hero S office as an assistant. Of course, if you can join the famous Hero S firm, you can gain more valuable experience and exposure. Time is limited. As long as you are seen by professional Hero S, your future will become bright immediately. Once a year, there are only 3 valuable opportunities for the entire high school. This is a must-see event for those who aspire to be Hero S. Those who are interested must not neglect their preparations. Do you understand? Clear. Asterisk Chapter 030. The School Riot Advertisement. As long as you perform well, you can take a big step towards a professional Hero S. The value of being admitted to Hero is finally reflected. There is no reason not to fight for the few precious opportunities. I really envy you, Shoji. You're already very eye-catching just because of your size. It's useless if you don't let others know your worth. After Aizawa Shota left, the classroom immediately turned into a mess, and all of them were discussing about the Heroic Sports Festival. Uchiha, do you have a favorite office? Kirishima Eijiro looked at Uchiha Madara with admiration. Hyunai Sports Festival needs actual combat power. Just from your performance a few days ago, hypnosis has a large number of people. It's just blinding. Cut. It's just hypnosis, not to knock them all down. Bakugo Katsuki on the side was rather disdainful. Fist is the last word. That's already very powerful. Okay. Kirishima Eijiro spread his hands and asked back, in your case, can you make them incapacitate in an instant? Ah, I can. Hearing Kirishima Eijiro's words, Bakugo Katsuki suddenly became excited. Just wait and see, the sports festival, I will definitely get the first place. Bakugo-san is still as enthusiastic as ever. Uraraka Ochako forced a smile, trying to liven up the atmosphere, but obviously ended in failure. But seriously, does Uchiha-san have any offices you want to go to? Uraraka Ochako blinked her big eyes. I'm just curious. Yeah, talk about it. Kaminari Denki echoed, I'm curious too. What office do you want to go to? Behind everyone, Green Valley Izuku looked at Uchiha Madara, his eyes full of entanglement and worry, and even a trace of fear. After all, a few days ago, he saw with his own eyes that Uchiha Madara mercilessly needed more than a dozen criminals into flesh. Advertisement. Various requests, because of the sports festival, the afternoon classes were not as intense as usual, and school was dismissed earlier than expected. However, just as everyone packed up and prepared to leave, there was a sudden commotion outside the classroom. Ida walked to the door, and as soon as he opened the door, he was stunned. Because at this moment, the classroom is full of people, and it can be seen from the school uniforms that they are all from Shangying Academy. Why are you looking for Class A? After being stunned for a long time, Ida slowly said. Of course it's reconnaissance of the enemy. At the rear, Bakugo Katsuki carried his school bag and walked out as if these people didn't exist. After all, you're a bunch of guys who survived the villain's raid, so you're planning to come over before the sports festival starts, right? It's a total waste of effort to do this kind of thing. Get out of the way, gangsters. Bakugo Katsuki stood in front of everyone with a gloomy expression on his face. I wanted to come and see what the rumored characters in Class A are, but I couldn't get it right. Are all the students of the Hero's class like this? It's really disappointing to see such a guy. At this moment, a taller boy with purple hair and an indifferent expression walked out of the crowd and looked at the crowd in Class A with a blank expression. There are a lot of people in this school who were assigned to the general subject and the other two subjects because they didn't get into the Hero's subject, you know? The boy walked to the front and looked at Bakugo Katsuki. And the school has also given us such an opportunity. It is said that it will reconsider whether to include us in the Hero's department based on our performance at the sports festival. If you come in, you will come out, huh, scout the enemy? At least I'm here today to declare war, even if it's the Hero's division. If you get too complacent, be careful to be overturned by us in an instant. Advertisement, I'm from Class B next door. As soon as the purple-haired boy finished speaking, another white-haired boy emerged from the crowd, looking at Bakugo Katsuki with anger in his eyes. I heard that you played against villains, so I planned to come over and ask a few questions, but your kid seems to be dragged to the sky. Various requests, now that you're talking so much, be careful of getting slapped in the face in the official game. The scene in front of them was chaotic for a while, and the other students of Shangying Academy surrounded the place so tightly that they couldn't get in or out at all. And all this, because what Bakugo Katsuki had said before angered them. I heard that you have someone here, quirks as hypnosis? The purple-haired boy from before found out again, and his eyes swept over the people in Class A one by one. What are you doing? Uchiha Madara walked to the front until she came to Bakugo Katsuki's side and looked at the purple-haired boy. It's amazing to be able to enter Class A with such quirks. There was a hint of provocation in the purple-haired boy's words. This person Uchiha Madara knew, Hitoshi Shinso, quirks for brainwashing, and hypnosis. This quirks can be said to have the same effect. If it's quirks alone, Hitoshi Shinso's quirks is definitely stronger than Uchiha Madara. It's just a pity that Uchiha Madara's quirks are not hypnosis. It can even be said that he does not have the so-called quirks at all. Why did I get into Class A? The sports festival will tell for itself. Uchiha Madara picked up the school bag on the table. If there is nothing else, I hope you can get out of the way. You're blocking the way. Hey, you're quite a jerk too, but it's just right. The higher you stand, the harder you fall. Hitoshi Shinso raised his forehead slightly, staring at Uchiha Madara without blinking. My name is Hitoshi Shinso. We too. See you at the sports festival. Asterisk Chapter 031. All Might, Home Visit, Advertisement. Although Aizawa Shota has explained a lot about the sports festival before, but in fact, the Yuying Sports Festival will be held in 2 weeks. And these 2 weeks are also naturally suspended, so we have a total of 2 weeks to prepare for the sports festival. For 2 weeks, everyone was doing their own thing, and the only one who had nothing to do during this period was Uchiha Madara. At the same time, Shangying Academy, the principal's office. For 3 days, Aizawa Shota and some police officers basically checked Uchiha Madara, but found nothing unusual. All the information is normal. The only suspicious thing is this surveillance video. Aizawa Shota handed a USB flash drive to the principal. Hearing this, the principal took the USB flash drive from Aizawa Shota's hand and inserted it into the laptop. On the computer screen, it was the video of Uchiha Madara putting down the ingredients and walking into a dark alley. This video was taken when Shangying Academy was just starting school, explained Aizawa Shota. But what does that mean? Midnight leaned back on the seat. There's no way we can convict him for this video. Of course it's more than that. Aizawa Shota turned the laptop to himself, opened another software, and turned the laptop back again. Look at this. At this moment, a familiar figure appeared on the screen. Everyone who was familiar enough to be present knew him. A burly figure, well-proportioned muscles, bronzed skin, and a little bit of a minority in clothing. Occupation Hero, S. Death Red Fist. The Red Fist of Death and Uchiha Madara went to the same place. Midnight sat up straight, crossed Erlang's legs, and played the video backwards over and over again. Advertisement, could it be that Uchiha Madara is the one from the Red Fist of Death? Midnight couldn't help but guess. How is it possible? Don't think about it. Why would they send a child to Shangying Academy? A man wearing a mask and dressed as a cowboy retorted. Should I go talk to him? All Might, who had been sitting in the corner with a taciturn and scrawny skin, suddenly said. Take the initiative? Noon Yoruichi got up from his seat in excitement. Aren't you stunned by the grass? That. Up ahead, Aizawa Shota raised a hand. Actually, I've talked to him before. Huh? Midnight was stunned after hearing Aizawa Shota's words. Then why didn't you say it earlier? He told me that he just wanted to stay in Shangying Academy, and he also said that this is a promise he made with one person. Aizawa Shota did not answer Midnight's words, but continued. Of course there were a lot of cutting corners. Who? I don't know. Aizawa Shota shook his head slightly. Various requests. At 2:30 in the afternoon, Uchiha Madara, who went to Yaoyorozu Momo's house for lunch, just arrived in front of the villa when he found a suspicious car parked in front of his house, and it looked like a lot of money. Uchiha Madara narrowed her eyes slightly, her eyes turning scarlet. You can't use quirks at will outside of school, boy. Behind Uchiha Madara, a tall figure in a suit put his hands on his hips, revealing 8 large white fangs. All Might. Uchiha Madara turned sideways, raised his head, and asked, "What are you doing in my house?" It's really indifferent. Hearing this, All Might's eyes twitched, but he still kept a smile. "I'm visiting at home." Is that so? Uchiha Madara looked at All Might dubiously, then his eyes turned pitch black, and he turned to open the door of the villa. Advertisement, come in. I just saw you coming out of your neighbor's house. It seems that you have a good relationship with your neighbor. Entering the villa, All Might looked like he didn't care, but he was actually going crazy inside. Uchiha Madara's family is so rich. Where is this villa? The palace is almost the same. And I heard that the house prices in this area are very expensive. Mr. All Might, haven't you read the documents? Uchiha Madara put the freshly brewed coffee on the coffee table. The student-specific addresses are written in the admission documents. Huh? Hearing this, All Might, who had just sat on the high-end sofa, looked at Uchiha Madara with a bewildered expression. Of course he read the documents. If he didn't, how could he possibly know where Uchiha Madara lived? My neighbor, who lives in that villa over there, is classmate Yaoyorozu Wan. Uchiha Madara raised his hand and pointed out the window. You and Yaoyorozu Wan are neighbors. Hearing Uchiha Madara say this, All Might instantly understood why he was so close to Yaoyorozu Momo at school. Of course. Uchiha Madara sat across from All Might, and I'm an orphan. Why are you visiting my house? Or, Uchiha Madara's eyes turned scarlet again. What did you know from Aizawa Shota? You. All Might didn't expect Uchiha Madara to be so direct. He was stunned for a long time before speaking. I did hear some rumors about you. What did you hear? Talk about it. However, Uchiha boy, I still want to remind you that you cannot use quirks outside of school without permission. I didn't use him to fight again. Hearing this, Uchiha Madara smiled lightly. Her eyes returned to normal immediately. She sat on the sofa and said casually, "Is this all right?" He really wanted to see what the hell All Might was up to. Asterisk. Chapter 032. The purpose of All Might advertisement. Young Uchiha, do you have a hero, S, you like? All Might drank the coffee on the coffee table and asked. Favorite hero, S. This time it was Uchiha Madara's turn to be a little stunned. It was really rare for All Might to play out of the way. Death Red Fist, I can't say I like it, I just have a good impression of him. The Red Fist of Death. Hearing this name, All Might remembered the surveillance video he saw in the principal's office this morning. Could it be that he and the Red Fist of Death really have some ulterior motives? It seems necessary to investigate carefully. Actually, I think you should talk to your classmates more. Don't be cold all day, it's not good for your physical and mental development. All Might smiled, giving people a very sunny feeling. In All Might's view, Uchiha Madara is only 15 years old now, and the whole concept has not yet been finalized. Even if he is really a spy or something, as long as he is more enlightened, he can still be saved. And the sports festival is coming soon, won't you train? I'm not good at communicating with people. Uchiha Madara drank the cup of coffee in front of him and said, and I have nothing to train. Hypnosis also needs training. For example, in terms of number of people, how many people can you hypnosis? All Might gestured with both hands indiscriminately, and there is also the issue of the quality of hypnosis. How long can you keep them in the state of hypnosis? These are all needs to be resolved. Uchiha Madara put down the coffee cup in his hand and looked at All Might in surprise. Didn't he come for a home visit? How did he get all these things? How many people can you hypnosis at most? Do you have an idea? All Might continued to analyze to himself. How long can you trap them? Is there an accurate time? Young Uchiha, you have to know that these things are very important in actual combat. Any uncertain factor will bring you unpredictable danger. Various requests. Looking at All Might, who has been talking at length, the corners of Uchiha Madara's mouth twitched. This seems to be getting more and more off topic, right? Advertisement. Young Uchiha, has your hypnosis ever been forcibly broken? All Might suddenly stopped his tirade and asked sternly. Uchiha Madara froze for a moment, then shook his head and said, no. I'll try hypnosis now. All Might showed 8 big white fangs with an eager expression. As Neon's strongest hero, S, he is confident that he can forcibly break Uchiha Madara's hypnosis. But, young Uchiha, if I forcibly break your hypnosis, will there be any side effects? All Might regretted it as soon as he said it. After all, Uchiha Madara just said that his hypnosis has never been broken. Don't worry, teacher All Might, you can't break it. The corners of Uchiha Madara's mouth curled slightly. Can we start? Well, let's start. All Might squeezed his fists involuntarily. Haha, let me see where your limits are, Uchiha boy. Uchiha Madara rolled her eyes secretly, speechless. In the dim sky, a blood-red moon hung. The whole world is extremely quiet and dead, as if the end of the world, and people can't breathe. What is this place? All Might looked around, only to see bare walls and unfamiliar streets. Welcome to my world. Uchiha Madara's figure appeared like a ghost in front of All Might. Here, everything is under my control. Uchiha. Boy? All Might said uncertainly. Find a way to break this place, teacher All Might. After Uchiha Madara finished speaking, the figure slowly disappeared, as if it never existed. Advertisement. Ultimately, All Might failed to break the illusion created by Uchiha Madara. This was also expected by Uchiha Madara. However, All Might did not feel discouraged because of this, but kept patting Uchiha Madara's shoulder with a smile. Get ready. Uchiha boy, sports festival is very important to you guys. Kindness. Various requests, its terrifying quirks. After exiting the villa's gate, All Might patted his chest with a look of lingering fears. All Might was a little bit nervous until he got into the car. How is it? Inside the car, Aizawa Shota opened one eye. Is there anything to gain? Nice boy. As soon as All Might finished speaking, his whole body began to leak, his size quickly shrank, and in a blink of an eye he turned into a scrawny appearance. You know that's not what I asked. Anyway, leave him to me. All Might looked out the window as if to avoid Aizawa Shota's gaze. Hearing this, Aizawa Shota looked at the back of All Might's head slantingly and said, from the perspective of a teacher and a student, since you like him, then I will give him to you. It's just... Aizawa Shota narrowed his eyes slightly. You'd better be careful, he's very dangerous, and his abilities are more than those in the documentation. Don't worry, I can handle it. All Might looked at the scenery outside the window, his thoughts had already drifted into the clouds. Although I feel sorry for Uchiha boy, maybe only he can help Green Valley boy and defeat all. For 1. Chapter 033. The beginning of the sports festival advertisement. More than a week later, the Shangying Sports Festival kicked off as scheduled. Early in the morning, the gate of Shangying Academy was surrounded by countless reporters. At the gate, Yaoyorozu Momo, who was walking side by side with Uchiha Madara, twitched the corner of his mouth a few times and had to stop. Looking at the blockbuster reporter in front, Yaoyorozu Momo felt a bit of a headache. Although I heard that the Shangying Sports Festival is very lively before, this is too exaggerated, right? Huh? Are the two of them students from Class A? The reporters standing in the back row turned their heads inadvertently and glanced at Uchiha Madara and Yaoyorozu Momo. Oops, let's go. Yaoyorozu Momo grabbed Uchiha Madara's arm, and by the way made a code to put it on top of the two of them. Uchiha Madara was wearing a coat with a bit of laughter, and mixed into Shangying Academy with Yaoyorozu Momo. At this moment, Shangying Academy is unprecedentedly lively. The playground is full of various mobile stalls, with everything to eat, drink, and play, full of a strong neon style. The sports festival of Shangying Academy is divided into 3 divisions, namely the first grade division, the second grade division, and the third grade division. The blood of the last desperate gamble, coupled with the strategy developed through rich actual combat experience, led to the biggest attraction every year in the third grade competition area. But this year is different. The Year 1 division is also attracting attention. For the safety of students, Shangying Academy has recruited a large number of professional heroes for security work, and among them, there are many familiar faces. Huh? Isn't that the kid from the previous silt incident? Not far away, Mount Lady, wearing a horn mask and eating a mouthful of sauce, pointed to Uchiha Madara, who was walking side by side with Yaoyorozu Momo, and looked at Death, Red Fist and Jungle Kamui. Well, it seems it's really him. Death Shippus looked at Uchiha Madara's back with a gloomy expression. I didn't expect him to be admitted to Shangying, which is really good. Mount Lady put the last octopus ball in her mouth. Let's go get some drinks. Various requests. Year A, locker room. If only I could play in a battlesuit, complained Ashido Mina, who had pink skin and 2 tentacles on her head. Advertisement, to be fair, combat uniforms are not allowed at sports festivals, explains Ojiro Mashiro. I don't know what the qualifiers will be. Sato Rikido clenched his fists, his eyes full of excitement. Tokiyami Fumikage folded his hands, and said with a blank face, no matter what it is, I can only deal with it with all my strength. This dress is very nice, but I still like my original combat uniform. Uchiha Madara put on the dress and couldn't help but complain. Sure enough, he is still handsome in Madara's original costume. I also want to wear my battlesuit. Yaoyorozu Momo on the side, this suit is really ugly. At this moment, the door of the lounge was suddenly opened, and Ida stood at the door, excited and said loudly, Students, are you all ready? It's our turn now. Hearing this, Izuku Midori was sitting in the seat, taking deep breaths and looking quite nervous. Grade 1 competition area, students enter. The host's arrogant voice came from the broadcast, and Ida immediately led the crowd out of the lounge. Shangying Sports Festival, just let me have a good time. In the center of the crowd, the corners of Uchiha Madara's mouth curled slightly, and his eyes turned scarlet for a moment. Along the way, Uchiha Madara has been suppressing his own strength. After a long time, he will feel a little unhappy. And this time, he did not intend to suppress it deliberately. Various requests. Heroes Sports Festival, the young seedlings of Heroes, will start the annual ultimate battle of life and death battles. Anyway, you must be looking forward to these guys, right? Those who were attacked by villains, but survived the difficulties with their steely will, Miracle Nova. That's the Heroes class, first year class, right? The atmosphere at the scene was detonated by the host's remarks, and Ida led the crowd out at the right time, which triggered waves of climaxes. The stadium is huge, and there are estimated to be at least tens of thousands of spectators present, and the cheers almost shocked the world. Advertisement. Whether you can play your strongest strength under the crowd's spectators is also one of the qualities you must have as a hero. Ida looked serious and seemed to be very interested in this sports festival. It feels so nervous to hold us high, right, Bakugo? A drop of cold sweat dripped from Kirishima Eijiro's forehead, who had been walking behind Bakugo Katsuki. The devil is nervous. I just want to start killing. Bakugo Katsuki showed a sinister smile, his eyes full of killing intent. Although the next class is less popular, it has also gathered a group of powerful students, Hero, S, first year B class. Next is the general subject, Class C, Class D, and Class E. F, G, and H classes of the support division are here too. And then there's the management section, Class 1, Class J, and Class K. First year heroes, all come on stage. Everyone came to the big playground, and after lining up one by one, Midnight, who was full of body and sexy and charming, stepped onto the podium and said very hockey. The contestant swears. In the afternoon, Yoruichi appeared, and the scene exploded immediately. Player representative, Year 1 Class A, Uchiha Madara, Midnight announced from the high platform. Uchiha Madara, how could he be a player representative? It's no wonder, after all, he is the first place in the entrance exam. Come on, it's just the entrance exam. Some people from Class B of Hero, S, looked at Uchiha Madara who stepped onto the podium with disdain. Swear. Uchiha Madara stood in front of the microphone and cleared his throat. Let's work hard together, that's all, that's it. What? Chapter 034. Firestyle advertisement. Surprisingly short. Below, Uraraka Ochako smiled a little far-fetched, it's not like him at all. Yayorozu Momo clasped his hands together and looked at Uchiha Madara strangely. I don't know what medicine I took wrong. Okay, then let's start quickly. The first project is the so-called pre-selection. Every year, a large number of students will leave the stage in disgust. Okay, the first item that decides the fate. Behind Midnight, a large screen scrolled quickly. Eventually, the big screen stops scrolling and freezes in one picture. The first event, Obstacle Race. All students from a total of 11 classes will participate in this race, which will go around the stadium for a week, with a total length of about 4 kilometers. Our school has always been about freedom as a selling point, as long as it is on the track, no matter what means you use. Okay, everyone is in your place. There are hundreds of students in 11 classes, but the entrance of the competition can only accommodate a maximum of 8 people at the same time. Everyone present seemed very nervous, ready to go at any time. Yayorozu Momo even started the preparations directly on the spot. Preparation, start. As soon as Midnight finished speaking, everyone rushed forward like crazy, and immediately blocked the water from the entrance, making it difficult to move an inch. Uchiha Madara has been standing there, silently watching the students in front of them squeeze cookies. After about 5 seconds, everyone had entered the gate, and only Uchiha Madara was still outside. Present. Mike as the instructor looked at the lonely figure of Uchiha Madara below and turned to look at Aizawa Shota beside him. Alala? Is that a student from Class A? Yes. Aizawa Shota silently looked at Uchiha Madara's figure and replied without looking back. Is this classmate Uchiha from Class A planning to give up the game? Present. Mike's tone was a little exaggerated, or what kind of killer does he have? Advertisement because of present. Mike's commentary, everyone's eyes couldn't help but stay on Uchiha Madara. Various requests, on the playground, seeing that the students in front were almost packed, Uchiha Madara moved his body slightly, lowered his center of gravity, and then concentrated chakra on the soles of his feet. Whoosh! The next second, Uchiha Madara turned into a black shadow, bouncing back and forth on the wall inside the gate, but in the blink of an eye, he had come to stand outside the stadium. In the stands, present. Mike blinked his eyes with a confused look. Where's Uchiha from Class A? Outside the stadium. Brush, a gust of cold wind blew, and the surrounding temperature dropped rapidly, and blue frost quickly spread under Uchiha Madara's feet. Ho! Ho! With 2 roars, Shoto Todoroki and Bakugo Katsuki rushed out almost at the same time, doing a backflip in midair, landing perfectly. The moment he raised his head, the figure of Uchiha Madara came into view of Bakugo Katsuki. When did you come here? Bakugo Katsuki asked almost subconsciously. Uchiha Madara glanced at him, then walked forward without looking back. Pink eye. Seeing Uchiha Madara ignoring him directly, several intersections appeared on Bakugo Katsuki's forehead, and the palms of his hands were facing behind him. Using the blasting force, the whole person flew straight up. Look, I don't kill you. On the other side, with Shoto Todoroki's feet as the center, a layer of ice was spreading at an extremely fast speed. He glanced at Uchiha Madara silently, and immediately slid out using the ice cubes under his feet. Advertisement, various requests. Just as Shoto Todoroki and Bakugo Katsuki reached the fork in the road, huge machines suddenly emerged from the grass and stood in front of them. The rest of the students arrived late, and when they saw the huge obstacle in front of them, they couldn't help swallowing secretly. This is the imaginary enemy during the entrance exam. Midoriya Izuku came forward, his feet trembling slightly. This is not an ordinary imaginary enemy, but a 0-point imaginary enemy that is useless even if defeated during the entrance exam. Okay. I encountered an obstacle as soon as I came up, and the first difficulty was the first one, Robot Hell. Present. Mike's voice echoed throughout the stadium. Isn't this the imaginary enemy of 0 points in the entrance exam? Kaminari Denki was still rushing forward, but the moment he saw the huge robot in front of him, he immediately gave up. Isn't it? Has the Hero S section ever fought that kind of monster? It's too much to make it through. Shoto Todoroki stood at the front, narrowed his eyes slightly, and muttered, is the imaginary enemy during the entrance exam. As a recommended student, Shoto Todoroki didn't take the entrance test, he just heard about these so-called imaginary enemies from his B********** dad. The students were eager to try, but no one in the crowd was sure except Shoto Todoroki, Bakugo Katsuki, and Midori Izuku. So far, no one has dared to actually launch an attack. Seeing this, Uchiha Madara chuckled lightly and stepped forward unhurriedly, stopping until she reached the front. Shoto Todoroki also stopped what he was doing because of Uchiha Madara's action, and stood there, frowning slightly. Under the puzzled eyes of everyone, Uchiha Madara raised her hands and slowly formed one slightly cumbersome handprint after another. Z ugly shu wu shenhai yin. After finishing the seal, Uchiha Madara put his right hand to his lips, took a deep breath, and then exhaled suddenly. Fire style. Put out the fire. Boom. Asterisk chapter 035. Far ahead. Advertisement. Boom. A huge wall of fire surrounded all the tall robots in front. Under the high temperature, the iron sheet on the surface of the robot slowly turned into juice and fell, and various important chips inside began to malfunction and turned into molten iron. The road was completely engulfed in flames, and the heat wave hit the face, making people afraid to go forward. Peeved. Aizawa Shota, who was watching the whole process and was drinking water, saw this scene and directly sprayed all the water in his mouth. Cough, cough, what's the situation? Aizawa Shota stared at the slightly immature figure on the big screen, his body trembling slightly. Oh my god, present. Mike stood up from his seat on the stands in the gymnasium. Is that Uchiha from Class 1A? The audience present also exclaimed in amazement because of this spectacular scene, especially some heroes who are engaged in the office. Their eyes are shining, and they can't wait to eat Uchiha Madara. He actually breathes fire. Shouldn't he be the son of Hero-S, Endeavor? In the audience, many people speculated. His surname is Uchiha, certainly not Endeavor's son. Quirks is so powerful, which professional hero-S is he descended from? This kid, how much power is still hidden? Aizawa Shota stared at the big screen without saying a word, and the tension in his heart became more and more intense. He slowly leaned on the backrest, took a deep breath, and then closed his eyes. A blood-red moon appeared in his mind. If he didn't compromise at that time, he would definitely die. Only, Aizawa Shota sighed in his heart, feeling quite powerless. With such power erupting in front of everyone's eyes, I'm afraid Xiangying will make big news again. All inhabitants of the world have a quirks file that clearly states the power you possess. However, once the power that broke out does not match the records in the archives, it is either to be revised, or to be invited by the police to have tea at the police station. Advertisement. Various requests, on the track. The moment the flames came out, everyone's expressions changed when they saw Uchiha Madara. Especially Bakugo Katsuki, who just froze in place, staring blankly at the robots that were being melted and scrapped in front of him. Hey, what are you doing? In the middle of the crowd, Hitoshi Shinso sat on a student's shoulder, a drop of cold sweat dripping from his forehead. Aren't his quirks hypnosis? What's with these flames? Hitoshi Shinso felt a tingling in his scalp when he thought of the gauntlet he had with Uchiha Madara the other day. Shoto Todoroki, who was standing beside Uchiha Madara, was also stunned. Uchiha, isn't your quirks hypnosis? To be honest, this kind of fire made Shoto Todoroki a little uncomfortable. After all, his whole dad's quirks was really similar to this one. That's right, explain it to me, pink eye. Bakugo Katsuki raised his fist as big as a sandbag and said viciously. As long as I can win, I don't care about that much. Uchiha Madara glanced at the two of them sideways, and then disappeared in a flash. Damn it guy. Bakugo Katsuki gritted his teeth and held back for a long time, finally finding the right time. Relying on the impact of the blast, he rushed forward quickly. On the Xiangying teacher's seat, All Might touched his chin with one hand and lowered his head in thought. It seems necessary to give him a new quirks assessment. The cement division sitting next to All Might looked at the figure on the screen with a serious expression. Yeah. All Might nodded lightly. When I mentioned Uchiha before, I was actually full of doubts. I couldn't believe that a teenage child could make villains retreat by himself. Don't say you. All of us don't believe it. Mike Lay, dressed in a cowboy outfit, echoed. I don't think most people believe this kind of thing. Advertisement. Especially we all had contact with Uchiha Madara, added number 13. Powerful power. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. At this moment, All Might has made up his mind in his heart. No matter what, he will lead Uchiha Madara on the right path. Various requests, on the track. The race is still going on. In front of it is a huge field with countless stone pillars, each of which is connected by a steel wire. Just looking at it feels quite dangerous. Uchiha Madara came to the venue first, looking at the dense crowd behind. The corners of his mouth curled slightly. Whoosh! Uchiha Madara turned into a dark shadow that was hard to see with the naked eye, and flexibly shuttled through the venue, but in the blink of an eye, he had reached his destination. Wow! Uchiha from Class 1A actually passed the second stage first, and the rest of the students must cheer. Present. Mike's voice resounded throughout the stadium again. Past the second level, Shoto Todoroki, currently ranked second, looked at the huge field in front of him and couldn't help but stop. This. Shoto Todoroki's pupils contracted slightly. How did Uchiha Madara pass through such a complex and dangerous terrain in such a short period of time? Is his name Uchiha? If only he could come to my office. Maybe he wants to go to a firm like Endeavor. I don't care, anyway, I'm going to make an appointment for this kid. When the sports festival is over, I'll send him an invitation letter. Watching Uchiha Madara running so fast on the screen, there was a commotion in the audience again.